Yes, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Whoever you are, wherever you are more than welcome. Welcome to Football Heritage TV, where for the moment you'll have me and the two Dans. I'll put myself in the middle, otherwise two Dans, just too much Dan. Lubo will be joining us. I'm guessing everyone's been waiting for this Liverpool game to finish. Liverpool have just lost 3-2 at Brentford, which means that Liverpool have now lost 4 league games in a row. We're in meltdown because we lost 1 to Aston Villa. 4 in a row. We'll be getting into all things Spurs. Chelsea have lost as well. So by our fans standards, today apparently Maresca out and Slot out. Anyone else who doesn't win every week out. Danny K, how are we doing, lads? You all right?
Yeah.
Getting on with things.
Same Spurs, different day at the moment.
Same Spurs, different day. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. Guys,
I'm good, Sav. I think I can't complain with Spurs. I can't complain with anything at the moment. Everything is good.
Yeah, I mean, lots of Spurs fans will disagree with you. We're going to get into it tonight. Obviously, we're on the eve of a tricky away game against Everton, a ground where they've only been in there for 4 games, but they've not lost at home yet. I expect that will be a difficult game as well. But we'll be talking about it today. I've called the show. I've said that Spurs fans are being ridiculous, and I'll start, Danny K. Let me start with you, right? I've never known anything like it. I'm seeing that we're nicely sat in the table like everyone else is, right? Early days, but we're nicely sat in the table. We've only lost 2 games. We're 13 games in all competitions into a new manager's reign that he's only lost 2 of them. And I just feel like everyone's throwing the toys out the pram for not really a lot of reason. And as I just mentioned there, Chelsea, right? Chelsea, Maresca has lost more games than Frank. Arnie Slot has lost 4 games. Frank's lost 2. Eddie Howe has lost more games than Frank, right? Like, Frank has lost the same amount of games as Pep, right? So what is the meltdown, Danny? Why is everyone up in arms? What is going on?
The meltdown is because fans just want something to moan about, right? As always, they always want something to moan about. And in my opinion, anyone who is criticizing Spurs in the point where they want the manager out is an absolute delusional idiot, in my opinion, right? That's my opinion, not Savas or Dan's. I think you're all idiots, right? And the reason why is because football fans are so fickle, right? They forget everything that happens so quickly. Like, they forget what happened yesterday. They don't even remember what happened yesterday, right? If fans actually take a backward step and look at it holistically, right? Last season, every single Spurs fan that I encountered on Twitter or on YouTube, they were all saying the same thing. Our attack is championship level or bottom half Premier League level. Now, that hasn't changed. We have not changed the attack, right? In terms of the front 3, the only player we've got who's different is Kudus. But the problem is, it's not a one-man team. He cannot do it himself. And what's happening with Kudus is 2 or 3 men are marking up on him now, and it's stopping him producing. But even still, he's still producing to an extent or to a level that's deemed good enough for the team that we are right now, right? So for me, the fact that fans are going into hyperbolic mode for Frank is just beyond ridiculous and beyond it's pathetic, to be honest with you. And for me, I think Frank is doing way more than what we expected him to do at this point in his Spurs career. And I think he's actually doing an unbelievable job, considering he's got that attack with Odebear, Tell, Sowanki, Rich Crapperson, all of these players who are just nowhere near the level of a mid-table Premier League team, yet we're in the Champions League and haven't been beaten, right? And we're still 2-3 points off the top, 3, So it's like why are fans expecting us to be like near the top of the league if we've got a team that finished 17th last year? And if it wasn't for the players that we got this year, right, which is Paulinho, Kudus, Xavi, and Muani, who we still haven't seen yet because he's not fit enough, who I'll get onto him later on. But without those people, I'm telling you now, we'd be in a relegation battle right now. I'm being brutally honest. I think we are, because it's our key players and the solidity that Frank is trying to ingrain in this team and instill, right, is that whatever happens, let's try not to get beat, because Frank knows right now this team is nowhere near the level he wants it to be at. He's not dumb. Frank
Danny,
is,
so Danny, let me ask you. Let me ask you, Danny. This is what I don't get, right? Most sane Spurs fans complain about the forwards we've got, right?
yeah.
But then expect Spurs to be sweeping teams aside and expect Spurs to. I keep hearing this. He needs to be braver, right? He needs to play better football, right? But in the same breath,
How?
I'm hearing, but we've got Johnson and Richarlison and Tell and Odegaard But instead, we've now got fans that all the blame seems to be Bentancur. That's the new thing is Bentancur. It's all Bentancur. But I don't get it, Danny. Surely you can't mock the players on one hand, but then expect us to be flying and battering teams on the other hand, can you?
No, you can't. It's that thing where it's kind of like what I've heard you guys talk about in the last week or so, where if Sarr comes in, he has a bad game, put Bentancur on. Bentancur comes in, has a bad game, put Bergvall on. Bergvall comes in, has a bad game, try again, put Archie Gray in, right? It's kind of like that. It's never gonna it's gonna keep repeating itself, because the fact is we've got too many of the same type of players in midfield, right? We don't have a guy who can literally progress the ball in the way that we need it progressed, right? We need about 2 players really in midfield who can progress a ball. And I think like this team is nowhere near the level it can be and it should be. But with what he has got right now, right, he is doing an incredible job, in my opinion. I honestly think he's doing an incredible job. Like, I think if I was speaking to you earlier, Sav, right? If you go and get like a Cunha, for example, and you get and you get, I don't know, just say I don't know who's a good left winger who we could realistically get. Just say a Lookman, right? And then you go and get Fofana, right? And then you get a fit Muani, right? Because for me, even Muani, when just by the last 2 appearances I've seen him, right, come on, his little cameos, he's doing more runs and he's intelligent runs than what I've seen of Richarlison all season, right? So for me, you get those 2 players fit and firing, and say you get another left winger, you've already got a far better attack that's way above a Premier League, I don't know, mid-table team, right? Then you can start talking about us scoring goals and winning football matches, because last season the same team that played is the same team that nearly got us relegated. So that's the fact of the matter. And this is what I can't understand, that fans can't comprehend a simple thing like this.
I agree. I mean, Danny, welcome, mate. Welcome, Lubo. I'll come to Dan and then get to Lubo. Dan, look, we talked in the summer about the need to cover the positions that we need in the team.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, we didn't. And for me, listen, this is only my view. This is everything I expected of Tottenham. I expected us to be underwhelming to watch, difficult to beat, but with no attacking flair. And that's what we've seen so far, isn't it? We just don't have the players to sweep teams aside.
Yeah. I mean, I still think we're using the wrong formation, really, to get the best out of the team, because nothing has really changed from last year. Some of the players we've got in, but it doesn't quite give us what we need to play to a quality 4-2-3-1. Obviously, we haven't got no one on the left. What we're going to see, what we've got up front, we're going to see our, what's his name, Wane does and that. We'll see how that one goes. I think one of the problems is at the moment, the football isn't looking sexy and we're not necessarily winning with it. But we're not necessarily losing big time on it as well. And when you're not winning playing football like that, people will complain, and especially Spurs supporters. Because I think a lot of Spurs supporters, same as other clubs, have still got it drilled into their head. Spurs are meant to play this way. What way? It's 2025. I didn't know there was a set way that a club has to play. Same as some people were saying, I'd rather we lose 6-1 instead of fight 6-3 instead of fight for a 1-1 and sit back and whatever else and that. I think that's one of the things they're not liking the more pragmatic style of a Frank. At the moment, up front, we just don't look much of a threat, do we? I mean, that choice up front, I mean, Kudus, great. But as soon as the team focuses on him out the game, that's pretty much us cancelled out up front. And then they focus on Porro down the back. It's pretty easy to suss it out at the moment. Simmons definitely hasn't landed on his feet. I think he's been what Spurs have been all season. And that's okay. I think we've looked good at times. I think we've looked bloody bad at times. And I think we've looked okay majority of the time. I think we're doing okay. You can definitely see it's an improvement on what we was doing under Ange. And I don't know if people expected this to change in 5 minutes or however long, but we're going to have to wait for the season to go to see how serious the club are in January and then to see how serious the club are in the summer. It's like with Simmons at the moment. I've seen moments of him where you can see there's a player there, but at the moment he's been very, very average. Maybe it's going to take him time to adapt, whatever else. But if it starts getting to January, February, and I'm seeing no improvement in him or no improvement in the team as such, then you start asking a couple of questions. But we're not even in bloody December yet.
But Dan, what I don't get, right? Like, when I read the chat, I'm seeing people say, oh, but what about, so Ange didn't have the players. Ange. But Thomas Frank's not sitting in 17th. Spurs aren't losing games. We're 6th in the table, we were. Let me just double check. We've probably gone down to Spurs are 7th in the table with a game in hand. Mm-hmm. If we draw it, we go into 5th. If we win it, we go into 2nd or 3rd, depending on Man City and Bournemouth, right? What is the drama that I keep saying this, and Lubo will tell you this in our WhatsApp. I don't see the drama. Everyone going, he's got to change it. This has got to be better. What is the drama, Dan? Like, is it just the style of play?
I think a lot of it has got to do with the style of play. A lot of Spurs supporters don't like this style of play. I don't mind it personally. I like the more pragmatic Italian style, sit back, take what they got, 3-4 direct balls forward, put it in the back of the net. I like that sort of football. Other people don't. Whatever turns you on at the end of the day, it's each their own. Some like black hair, some like blonde hair, whatever it goes. But with what he's got at the moment, I think we're pretty much doing as much as we can. I just think certain teams we play against, we should definitely be playing 3 at the back. I think 3 at the back, nothing's changed for me from last season, except we've got certain players in certain positions. I still think a 5-2-2-1, 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it, brings the best out of us. You put Simmons as it's obviously who the back line are and who the midfield are. Midfield, you could ask Paulinho with Bentancur or Sarr, whatever. But then for me, in front of him, I put Simmons there, use him as the playmaker, drift him out to the left when he wants to. And I put Kudus there.
I keep hearing everyone keeps saying 3 at the back. Are we talking about?
If we get an injury, if we get injuries, then no, we haven't.
Well, we haven't right now, right? Like I saw someone earlier on a show saying he's got to go to 3 at the back tomorrow, and I'm like,
is Romero injured?
I was like, Romero's out, Davis is out, Takai's out, Dragashin's out. So what are we condoning that Byfield goes in at centre back at 16? Like it's, what I mean?
I didn't know Romero's out tomorrow. I haven't checked.
No, sure. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying that maybe Frank might want to go to 3 at the back, but at the moment we haven't got the players to do it.
Yeah, right now then we haven't. If Romero's out, I suppose you could chop and change about with it and that. But like I've said to you, if I've got my full team there, I'd just use Kudus as my target man basically, so he can drift out to the right as well. Because I still think we'd get plenty out of him, more so than sticking Tell, Odegaard, Richarlison out on the left, where it just totally cripples us. Because there's absolutely nothing there, basically. And then up front, you can flip a coin, can't you, at the moment, when it comes to when we got the players there. Are we going to play Mwane? Are we going to play Solanke? Are they going to stick with Richarlison up there, which I very much doubt? It's just at the moment, I think we just got to have a bit of patience with this one. And if people ain't liking the football, I just think you're just going to have to muscle this one out until January at least. See if we can bring anyone in to cover that left spot if he wants to stay with a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. and take it on from there, because we're not even going to know if the club means business properly until next summer.
Mm.
I also just to add, can I just add one little thing quickly? I think it goes back to the actual players that we have to play the way that he wants to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I see with Frank now is he's being very smart with how he's approaching each game, how he's rotating players. He knows that there's injuries. He knows that there could be more injuries, and he's trying to do as best as he can with what he's got currently. Because he knows it's a results business, right? He has to get results regardless of how we play. Right now, the focus shouldn't be on playing the right way of football, because let's be honest, we don't have the players up front technically to play that way. Odebear is still coming
Or
into
the midfield,
it, right?
Danny,
Or
the
a midfield, yeah, or the midfield.
Right.
So like it's like normally the game is won in midfield, and if you've got midfields that are getting overpowered, or if you're getting midfield that can't bloody fucking pass a ball to an attacker or through the lines, then how do we expect to have progressive football if we don't have the type of players that are confident enough to do it? And the worst thing about it is that we actually do have players that could do it, but they don't do it, and that's because of their confidence. So the fact that they're not trying it is another thing. So that means if they're not going to get their level up to actually do what they're paid to do, right, then you've got to get a better quality of player in, just like Frank did with Paulinho, Muani, and Kudus, because you can see the quality difference in them. Their levels above anything we've seen in this squad for years, right? So you go and get another couple of players in the positions we need at that level. It's a different team, completely different team. Like, it's night and day. And also, like, Frank is not a miracle worker. He's not Jesus Christ, right? He can't bring people back from the dead or whatever. He's not. Do you know what I mean? He's not a miracle worker. He's going to have to do what he can with what we've got. Odebear looks like he's getting a little bit more confident each time he plays, but still he's not. He's still he's not good enough. I know that, Sav.
Let's call this for what it is, right? Bergval's, I'm going to call it out, right? I'm going to call it out. I don't care if I piss anyone off. I don't care for all this glazing. Bergval's not good enough. Sar's not good enough. Gray's not good enough.
I agree with that.
Odebear's not good enough. Tell's not good enough. Charlison's not good enough. Vicario's a very average goalkeeper. What we've got is we've got a good back four when everyone's fit, and we've got a bloody brilliant defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
We've got a top right winger, but we've got no good left wingers. We've got no good strikers. Our playmaker that came in to replace Maddison is going to need time to settle into the league. Other than that, what are people open for? Like for example,
but that's
when I'm getting questions like this, do you think our players regressed? I watched Spurs lose 22 league games last year. Regressed from what? Regressed from what? Losing each week. Lubo, let me bring you in here. Well, where are you at with all of this? Because I see you're one of these that are panicking, and after 13 games, we've got to change the system and everything's got to change, and Frank needs to be braver. How do you do that with these players?
Well, firstly, when you've got Romero and Udogie fit, then you do go to three at the back, for sure.
Every game?
Listen, depends on the opposition, but I think definitely if you're playing top six, you play three at the back, for sure. I think that we know the strike force isn't working. We know we've got Kudus, and that's about it. But I think I've been flicking through highlights of the games this season. We don't progress the ball forward in midfield anywhere quickly enough at home. Forget away. Away in the league, we've done well.
Who can?
He's set up well. What do you mean? Who has? No,
I'm saying who can? Because I keep seeing all these people going Bentancur, Paulinho. Who can we play in midfield?
I think you don't need Paulinho and Bentancur at home against.
Not what I asked. I knew you wouldn't answer the question. Not what I asked.
Go on.
Right? I'm asking. Everyone keeps saying we don't progress the ball through midfield quick enough, and Bentancur doesn't pass forward. Who in our squad can do it? Because Bentancur plays more forward passes than all of the other central midfielders at this football club, other than Basuma. But when I bring that up, I still hear people going,
I don't see where. I've watched every single game this season, every minute. I see Bentancur being very, very effective away from home, but not so much at home. I honestly don't.
I'm asking who then? But this is the thing I'm asking you, because statistically, throughout their careers, this is the thing. You ignore me when I ask this on WhatsApp.
Well, now I would throw Gray in. I would throw him in.
Right. So the answer is to throw the guy.
I would put him in. Maybe not. I wouldn't start him tomorrow, but maybe I'm just trying to think again. Maybe I'd put him in Wednesday in midfield. Definitely at Newcastle.
At this rate, Lubo, I'd chuck him in. I don't even care anymore. We haven't got anyone who can do it. I actually give him a chance.
Sure, that's Danny, right. But we've got no proof, right? But Danny, this is
I know we haven't got proof. I know we haven't got proof.
No, hang on. When you're saying it doesn't matter, hang on. But first of all, if people are going to sit there and go on about, I don't see this, I don't see that, fine. But no one's coming with an actual solution that's proven, right? So when I'm saying the data, I did a show yesterday or whenever it was, and we looked at all the Spurs midfielders' data throughout their careers, right? And Bentancur passes forward 10 times more than any of the others do, right? But everyone's made up this myth now that, like last week, Bergvall was the flavour of the month. Bergvall's got to start in midfield above Bentancur. Bergvall starts, he can't pass the ball to save his life. His passing is shocking. Then it goes to Sarr. It should be Sarr's turn. Sarr's not a passer of a football. He doesn't progress the play through the middle. Archie Gray, we've never seen do it, right? Basuma, by the way, is the best passer of a ball forward in our whole squad. Did you guys know that? Right?
He's a best box midfielder.
Yeah.
Everyone, this is the problem. Everyone's saying we need to be more progressive. We need to be braver. Surely you've got to have the players to do that, right? You can't just say, oh, well, it's Gray. Gray's the answer now. Like, okay, but is Gray better than Bentancur? He's not.
No, he's not. But I just say that if we're saying that people want to try something different, the only option they haven't really tried is Gray in midfield. So, is it worth taking a punt? For me personally, I would say why not? Because we're in this period now, right, where we're not expected to go and get like Champions League football. Like I get he needs to get results, and I get he wants to keep winning games. So if he's going to keep doing that, he's going to keep playing Bentancur, because Bentancur's got the best chance of us, let's just say statistically and probably at the level compared to the other midfielders of someone who can progress the ball and also defend equally as good, right? And that's the sad reality we're sitting in. Go on.
How are Spurs fans possibly looking at this squad, looking at our team and thinking that midfield two is the issue? The issue is we've got nothing going forward. Look how many times against Villa, right? Look how many times against Villa. Bentancur and Paulinho won the ball, gave it to the forwards, and wrong pass, wrong shot, can't do anything. The ball comes bouncing back. Even the first half against Monaco, not the second half, the first half against Monaco, the number of times Richarlison gets the ball, Tell gets the ball, Odegaard gets the ball, and you're like, nothing. So why is this suddenly now Bentancur seems to be the issue when surely we can all see it's the forwards, can't we? Surely it's the forwards that are the problem at Tottenham, not Bentancur.
Well, when you've got forwards that Barkudas and Simmons on how he's been performing that are barely good enough for the let's say just about better than the Championship, but barely good enough for the Premier League. It says everything, basically. I mean, Solanke's had one good season in his entire life that's actually stood out. Johnson, you can say pretty much he gets in the place, but when he don't get in the place and tap it in the back of the net or put it in the back of the net, whatever way you want me to say it, you might as well play with 10 men on the pitch. Savvy just has not landed at the moment. He's had a moment or two. Hopefully he'll improve in that. We'll see by January. It's going to take him a bit of time to settle down. And then who else we got? Tell or Odegaard? Richarlison. The options definitely aren't there up front at the moment. And where have we got the creativity as well? Because Simmons gets played on the left, in the middle. Like I know he played more on the left last year, and he was quite creative from the left-hand side. But as I said, at the moment, he hasn't really been better than anybody else up front at the moment. So we haven't got no creativity there at the minute as well, which was one of the main problems we had. It's just a sticky situation at the moment. I think we're just going to have to muscle it out, and hopefully we do something in January with getting someone in that we need, either a deep line playmaker from midfield who can do something, or get someone up there on that left wing, one or the other.
Yeah, I think with what we need right now is probably. I think I've heard some people discuss it recently about like what's the best thing we need, and I think maybe right now it's hard to say. I think we need both. We need a left winger and we need a midfielder who can progress the ball like a Ruben Neves. We need someone at that level, right? Yeah,
Massively.
for me, you go and get like a Fofana, go and get Ivan Toney and Ruben Neves on loan, right, with the potential to actually buy them. That's already transformed our whole team completely. Like, and then and also you've got Muani who's coming in who could play on the left wing when he gets fit, because I think he'll do a better job than Odebear. And I think even until January, I think Muani's going to be our striker. I genuinely think he's going to be our striker. I think it's just even Frank. So. I think I even heard was it Frank's press conference or something that he was saying that he's getting fitter and fitter now, and he's getting up to like close to those levels that we need. So look, I think you can see it in the little cameos Muani's had. I think he's genuinely going to be our striker because he's so many levels above Richarlison and Solanke right now. It's night and day. And I think Solanke might do a job.
When he came on, didn't he?
Yeah,
he looked all right when he came on.
Dan, do you know what it is? Do you know what I saw when I was at the Villa game? Right, what I saw was a player who knew the position to be in and when to run. Right, and what I saw was players weren't giving him the ball to his feet or playing it into an area he could run onto it. They weren't giving it to him. Right, and he did it a few times. And I'm like if someone had a competent pass in them, right, to give this guy the ball when he's running into space or trying to run into a channel where he can be dangerous, right, then he actually might have a chance on goal. But they weren't doing it. None of them were doing it. No wingers, no midfielders were doing it. So, and even against Monaco, you could see he was making the right runs. The guy is an intelligent player, and he's levels above what we've got. And I can't wait for him to get fit, man, because we really need him right now, and that's how desperate we are. We genuinely need him in the team.
But
we're not a top 10 team, basically. We're not top 6, we're top 10. That's where Spurs are at the moment.
So if that's true, then so why the panic? Why is everyone panic?
I'm not panicking.
If that is true, why the panic?
I'm not panicking. I've said all along, particularly first half of this season, I thought it'd be very up and down. So I'm not surprised at any of the results. You know, you come away from games, you're disappointed, but this is going to happen. This, unfortunately, is going to happen. You know, all the other teams, most of the other teams in the Premier League have all strengthened very well during the summer as well. So we're coming from 17th. I think if you looked at, if this was another club that was sitting in 7th, and we were 17th last season, you look at that and think, blimey, that manager's doing a decent job.
Yeah.
Right. No, but when it's our own manager, look, the funny thing, right? The funny thing that I find with this, Lubo, is, listen, am I enjoying watching the games? No, not particularly. There's spells, but not particularly. But I didn't expect anything different. Lubo, we've had this chat a million times in the summer. I didn't expect it to be. I think that too many people are overrating too many of these players. Yeah. And because of those overrated expectations, they think we're better than we are. I look at it and, like, if you use all of our number 8s, for example, Lubo, right? If we use all of our 8s, so let's put Paulinho to one side as the only 6, right?
Yeah.
You look at Bentancur, Basuma, Gray, Bergvall, Sarr. I don't look at any of them and go, wow, oh, what a player. They're all okay. They all do some nice bits. They all have got glaring gaps in their skill set. But I don't look at any of them and go, top footballer, right? We don't have anyone on the left that you go top footballer. You don't have anyone up front that you go top footballer, right? We don't have a top goalkeeper. So why are people thinking that we're just going to rattle off win after win after win when Chelsea have lost more games than us?
Yeah,
Villa, Newcastle have. Liverpool have lost 4 in a row. So
yeah.
surely
three things that Spurs fans have got to take into account before they come out with entitled shit is we won the league for 64 years. 64 years. Think about that. People want us to be up there, you know, every single year. We've won 3 trophies since 1991. Think about that as well. 3 in 34 years. And the last thing is we've had 10 years of unsatisfactory transfer windows. And I say unsatisfactory, and yes, I know we've bought since that transfer window of 15, when we bought Sonny, Toby, and Dele, we've picked up players like Mickey, Romero, Wanyama. But when you look at the amount of players that have been bought and the amount of players that have been successful in the first team over 10 years, and I'm not talking about kids, because kids can come through, and some of them I think will come through, but aren't quite ready just yet. We haven't had the success transfer wise, so the transfer policy has been all wrong. I won't go into that again. People know how I feel, but they've got to take that into account. So you've got a situation now where we need more players. I think the players we brought into the club in the summer were of a higher level than what we've been bringing in recently. So that's a plus. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time. You know, when you think you probably needed maybe 7, 8 players to be in that 15, 16 that you're going to be playing regularly in the first team, because you can't play in 11 anymore. You've got to have at least 16, 17 players of first 11 standard. We're still short by several. You can't do everything in one window, unfortunately. Yeah. We brought in 4. I think Paulinho will be made permanent. Moani, I've no idea what will happen. I suppose we'll know more about Moani depending on how successful he is and how much he enjoys his time at Spurs, when it comes to the end of the season. But we are on it is an upward trajectory for me now. The club have got a proper structure behind it now for the first time. I can't remember that we've never had a structure like this before. So for me, it's improving. But things take time. Things don't, you build it. You build any sort of business. It's like, you build any team. It took Pep time. It took Klopp 4 years before he won a big trophy. I think it's Chelsea's the anomaly. Wenger came in was pretty quick. Even Ferguson, and it doesn't matter. People say, "Oh, well, that was then. That was in the 80s." Football was football, and depending on, it's all relative for that period of time. And it took Ferguson 4 years to win a trophy. Yep. And Fergie was the best. Didn't they? He was the best there is. And he came into a mess. A transfer mess from years and years of underperforming, bad transfer windows.
And Fergie already. But I've got
to tell you, I think Dietrich is a gooner, personally. I think the way I see him talk on the
Dietrich
WhatsApp
is a little bitch.
No, he's not a little bitch. He is.
He is.
No. Dietrich is one of these fans that I'm talking about who is entitled. He thinks we should just have this most fantastic team. I've been following Spurs 60 years. Poch's team was the most exciting team I've seen out of all those years. And, we've had others, but not many. And with the players we've got,
it was Harry's team. For me, it was Harry's team. But yeah, I get you.
Entitled fans expect us to have what we had then. But look at the players. Look at the players we've got now compared to the players we had then.
Can I mention, before I bring James in, and good evening, James, do you know what I find so funny about this conversation? People go, so-and-so's never won a trophy, right? Let's use this barometer, shall we? First and foremost, Spurs brought in 2 of the biggest trophy winners in the last 2 decades of football management, Jose Mourinho and Conte. How did that go for Tottenham Hotspur, right? We are not in a position where we should be winning league titles or Champions Leagues. That's not where the club is. Now, it doesn't mean we can't be there one day, but we're not there now. So this whole so-and-so's not a winner makes me laugh. Secondly, fine. So are we going to hire Steven Gerrard? Right? Are we hiring Steven Gerrard? Are we hiring David Moyes? Are we hiring Roberto Martinez, who won the FA Cup with Wigan? You get the point I'm going with here, guys, right? Like, there are managers that have won trophies, right? There are managers that have won trophies, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're brilliant. They had a good cup run. Like, yeah, let's be fair. Look at our situation last year. We had a good cup run and won a cup, but finished the worst Premier League season we've ever had. So I don't quite get that anyone thinks Thomas Frank or any manager is going to come into Tottenham this year and we go, we're winning a league. Or I just don't get it, James. I'm baffled.
For me, mate, I think the problem is that people can't separate a debate, so they can't separate a fault and then give a praise. So for me, I mean, you know my opinion on the Champions League squad. I feel that Frank got it wrong twice, personally, but that doesn't mean I'm Frank out. I'm big enough to say I think you got it wrong, but I've seen enough to say he needs time. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is the problem with our fan base. It's all or nothing. You have to pick one side or the other. You can't say XYZ was wrong. Like we said, for me, people say, "Oh, we asked him to rotate and blah blah blah." Well, yeah, that is true, but not in the Champions League. You don't rotate them in the Champions League. You rotate them against Doncaster. For me personally, I think what he's done so far in the Champions League is he's gave himself a very fine line now, where we have to beat Copenhagen. If we don't beat Copenhagen, he deserves every bit of criticism that he gets, in my opinion, for what he's done in the Champions League. But that doesn't mean that I want the guy out.
Right?
I know, but for me, I know, but for me, drawing against Bodo and drawing against who did we just play? Monaco. I think that we should be getting more than 2 points out of those games. Personally, I think we're good enough.
Bodo, sure. Monaco haven't lost to an English team in 8 games.
But then I would be happy with a win against Bodo and a draw against Monaco. Do you know what I mean? I'd be happy with a win and one and a draw in the other. So I would be happy with that. I'm quite comfortable. But for me, I feel like the last 2 Champions League games, he's visibly rotated the squad and dropped Simmons. I know people say, but he hasn't been playing well. But he's still better than everything else we've got, in my opinion, even if he's not playing well. So, but that is sort of kind of going full circle. That's my gripe with Frank, but there's not one part of me that goes, right, Frank out, Frank's this, Frank that. Sure. I have a problem with that, but I'm happy with what I've seen to give the guy time. I mean, it has only been 7 or 8 games.
Exactly. I think the issue with the Monaco game, I mean, Bodo, we should have beat them. I mean, I know there's no set right to beat any team as such, but we should have beat them. For me, no ifs or buts. We should have beat them. When it comes to Monaco, we could have.
Can I just quickly say, though, when we say this, I know we beat them last year, but you do. Has anyone seen Bodo's form in Europe? Home,
I said it to you
over the last 4 or 5
years.
It ain't bad. Actually bloody excellent.
Yeah, but we can't say to Frank, to Ange, yeah, well, it was the easiest European Cup final to get to, and then now go, oh, well, Bodo, I've got a good home record, because that's disingenuous.
Bodo had a good home record last year, though.
But we can't
do with Ange. Second of all,
but what I'm saying is, a lot of people played down last season saying we should have won it, we was favourites to win it, and now we're playing a couple of the teams that we played last season. Then why we should be beating those continuously still, in my opinion.
Basically, James, I agree with you. We should have beat Bodo. At the end of the day, they're no mugs at home. They've done their stuff. Said this last season, and pretty much most people agreed on that. But everyone also agreed we should be beating them. Monaco, I think the thing that hurt with that, if that would have been last season, we would have got destroyed. They should have beat us in that game 5-0. If we wouldn't have had a keeper that made 3 quality saves and they had someone who could finish it better, they would have done us 5-0. We got absolutely destroyed by Monaco every which way. We was all over the place from front to back. The only thing that kept us in that game was the fact that they couldn't finish properly and Vicario made 3 quality saves.
Yeah. Goalkeeper, boys.
Goal line goalkeeper. What he's good at. All up close to him, reflex, shot stopping, which he's quality at. And that's what he done. And he saved us that game, basically. So
that's a good,
with the Monaco game, we would have lost that last year.
Just made. That's a very good point. Bodo had finished their season, and we went into the game at their ground, and we were 2 goals to the good as well. So it's slightly different, bit different, than starting from scratch as we did.
Well, I'm sure.
And Bodo should have been 4 up there, and they missed a penalty and a wide open goal from 6 yards. But before we even, and scored 2. before we came back. So,
but surely you've got some expectations for your team of teams that you should have a better chance of beating. And
of course, but every manager loses games, don't they? Every manager loses games that they should win. Look, I'll tell you where I'm at, guys. I just find it's all a bit. I just find there's so much criticism for a guy that has had 13 games. Like, everyone wants him to change the formation every game. Like, all I'm hearing now every game is he shouldn't play, he should play, he shouldn't play, he should play. Let's be fair, right? In the last 2 months, I've heard Tell shit, he shouldn't play. He doesn't play Tell and plays Richie. Richie shit, he shouldn't play. So he doesn't do that. He plays Tell. Well, we're back to he's shit. Then it's Odegaard should play. Odegaard shouldn't play. Oh, his subs are poor. Who have you got? What? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying every decision he's made has been right. Absolutely not. But aren't we at the point where we're scrutinizing every single decision now? Like, when the team is announced tomorrow, guys, well, it'll be announced, 2:45 tomorrow, right? Or no, it's not 4:30 kick. So when it's 3:15, right? Yeah. Whatever he does, people will go, shit team. Whatever 11 he puts out, because you'll have those that don't want to see Bentancur Paulinho, or those that don't want to see Bergvall in the middle, or those that don't want to see Gray in the middle, those that don't want to see Richie up top, those that don't want to see Odegaard, those that don't want to see. At the moment, haven't we got to give this manager some months to look at the players and to try different things? And if that means there's going to be games where we're shit, then there's going to be games where we're going to be shit. But I feel like we're talking like we're bottom. Not everyone, but so many fans are talking like we are bottom of the table, and we're not. We're just not.
No, you know what you're saying there with players. You know what? This is just my opinion. I think the reason that there is 4, 5, 6 different options to play every week is because they're all the same level. They're all crap. So it's like, let's try this guy over this guy, or this guy over this guy, this guy over this guy, rather than go. I'll just pick out a name like Xavi, for example, and Douglas Luiz, or whoever you want to pick. If you had Paulinho, Douglas Luiz, and Xavi, and they're all fit, no one would have that conversation, because it's like, well, he's better than him, he's better than him, he's better than him, and you play your best players. Because we don't know who our best players are, everyone's got like, well, let's try this or try that or try that. When really, I don't think there's much difference between any of them.
James, we're at the point where we're talking about Archie Gray being our main number 8. Like, no, I'm not knocking Gray.
I did say this,
but that's where the squad is at. People need to let this sink in, right? We're at the point where Richarlison is our main striker, Odegaard is our main left winger, and we're now talking about Archie Gray being the main midfielder. And then people wonder why we're not sweeping teams apart and playing really good football. Like, you can't have it always, right? You can't. It can't be always. Something's got to give at some point.
I think it just comes a lot down to the style of football, and people just aren't liking it. People didn't particularly like it when Conte done it, but no one was complaining when we was winning the games. Where we ain't winning the games straight as such at the moment, I still think we've had a bit of luck as well. We've played okay, which is significantly better than what we were last season, where we were fucking terrible. And so okay is an improvement. And with what we've got, we're doing all right. Maybe a game we should have had a better result in, yeah. But it's the style of play that a lot of fans, they just can't handle it, especially Spurs fans. We're meant to play the Spurs way. What is the bloody Spurs way?
Can I ask, when did we last play the Spurs way or good football?
I don't even know what the Spurs way is.
I'll tell you what it is, Dan. Dan, the Spurs way is how Spurs played under Bill Nicholson. You've got to go back to the early 60s.
Well, most of them saying even that old Ian.
No, but that's where it's come from.
But who says that's the Spurs way? Because we've done that for a season with him. Is that the Spurs set way now?
No, because Bill Nicholson had them playing a certain way. That was what it was. That was how the whole thing evolved. It was a bit like West Ham and the Academy of Football, or they called them, and it was Ron Greenwood's style of football. And it goes back to my God, it could be worse. You could be a West Ham fan.
But football, like the chat we have about goalkeepers, football evolves. And it's like everything else, from whether it's music, fashion, whatever else. For me, it goes round in a clock, and it gets to a certain point, and then it basically comes back on itself and goes back to the style that was used 10 years ago, basically. Same as fashion, same as music, same as most things, yeah?
When did we last play good football, Dan? In your opinion, when did we last play good football?
We had, I'll give you two periods since Poch. The first season of Conte, the second half of the season, when we were knocking 4 and 5s against teams, but that was a very impressive 3 or 4 months.
Conte was the last time we played some good football.
And I also think the first 10 games of Ange's tenure, there were periods in there. I mean, I've got to say, the first 20 minutes against Chelsea, we were 1 up, and Sonny had that goal just now. We absolutely blew them off the park. That was 20 minutes of some of the best football.
But do you see what you've done there? You've proved my point. We're talking about. I disagree, by the way, but I'll go with it.
Go on.
We're talking about a 10-game stint, and we're talking about a couple of months under Conte.
And that's been it since Poch. Yeah.
Right. But that's my point. We're talking about little time frames. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm talking about when, as a club, have we, for a sustained period of time, been a good team to watch? Because I haven't seen it. So when people are saying, "Oh, we're not good to watch," I don't remember when we last were good to watch. I didn't enjoy anything of last season. I didn't enjoy anything under Conte. Sorry, that's me. I didn't enjoy the entirety of Conte. There were good bits, like you said, when we were counter-attacking. But other than the Poch era, and I liked Harry, I thought under Harry Redknapp we played some great football. Yeah. Where is this football that everyone thinks that we need to be playing? When did they last see it? Why has this manager got 13 games to get it right? I just don't get it.
Interesting. I had a chat with my pal Jeff Friday morning. We had a chat for about 20 minutes, and I said to him, "There's a mad meltdown going on social media about Frank at the moment." He said, why do you think this is going on? We're 6th in the table. We're unbeaten in the Champions League. We're through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. We're desperately short in certain areas in the team, and that's hampering the way we play. Why do you think there's this mad, Slot's lost 3 league games and plus Galatasaray? Why? No one's saying a word, obviously, about him. Why is it all on Frank? And he turned around and said, an interesting point. He said the fan base, I think, the way they are at the moment, being really reactive, is just down to the periods that we've had. People are fed up with what's been going on at the club, and I think because of that, he said fans are just expect and want more. He said, and you can. He said you can go back over the whole 25 years. And you look at the lack of success that we've had. He said, and fans want more. He said, we're being charged virtually the highest prices anywhere. You look at the players that they brought in over the last 10 years. He agreed with me on the transfer position. And he said, fans want more. Fans deserve more. And they're fed up because of this.
Stupid. But fans surely aren't stupid. Yes, fans have to pay a lot of money to go, but that doesn't mean that the players we've got are good enough to play the way they want to play.
No, I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. If Spurs charge £10, if I ring up Spurs tomorrow morning, that's showing my age, isn't it? Ringing up the ticket office. If you spoke to Spurs tomorrow and said, I want a ticket for the game, whether they charge me 10 quid or 200 quid doesn't change the squad that we've got. It doesn't change that we've got a championship attack. Do you know what I mean? So you could charge the fans £1 to get in. It doesn't change the footballers that we've got. But why are the fans not willing, Lubo, to give any manager time? He's lost 2 in 13. Why will we not give a manager time? It's baffling to me, mate.
And I think we've also gone and got points out of games we would have lost last season. Again, that Monaco one, that was purely down to the goalkeeper and just lucky that they couldn't finish come love nor money. Purely down to that, nothing else. And I think you're right in Bodo as well. We could have easily lost that one as well, even though that's one I think we should have won. But there's been a couple of games where, Yeah, I think we've had a bit of luck on our side. It's like I said, I've seen us play bloody poor. I've actually seen us play good. And overall, I think we've been okay. And we've just got to take it from there. I just think, like it or lump it, you're just going to have to roll with this season. And as long as I'm seeing slow, whether it's slow or quick, as long as I'm seeing progression, I'm going to be happy. I mean, it wasn't hard for a manager to come in and make progression on what happened last year. I think any one of us could have sorted that out. Like I've said, yeah, stop playing inverted wing backs, bring your defence back 10 yards. You're about 15 goals safer by the end of the season. But it's like Simmons. We want to see him. By January, if he's not progressing and getting better, then I'm going to have questions for him or the way the manager's using him or whatever. But at the moment, he's only just got here, for God's sake, basically. And we are only, 13 games in overall, whatever, and that. So I don't know what people want. It's better than last season. I think it just comes down to the point where it's not sexy football.
It's going to take
do you know what
3 or 4 transfer windows to get the players in that he wants and to get the players out that he doesn't rate.
But this
No,
is the
13 games is all it needs, Lubo. 13 games.
This is the thing, Lubo. Like I think the problem with fans is they want everything now. They're impatient, right? That's what fans are like.
Instant
they're impatient.
gratification, Danny.
Yeah, and this is exactly it. And until people can learn to not require that in order for them to feel happy about what's going on at Spurs, then they're never going to be happy. Those people will never be happy. It's as simple as that, right? That's the truth. And the thing is, like, how can you not be happy when so many of the bigger teams last season have lost more games than us? And if people actually watch the Premier League, there's only a couple teams that have been playing really well. Sunderland, for example, right? Since they've come up the division, they're playing really well. They're actually playing good football, right? Bournemouth are playing very well as well, considering what they. I mean, but let's be honest, right? Bournemouth are playing good, but Semenyo's destroying it, right? If they take Semenyo out that team, they're a different animal. They're not the same, right? He's just in the form of his life. But if you look at Arsenal are playing rubbish football. They're actually playing rubbish football, right? And if you go and watch the Arsenal fans' TV shows and whatever, they're happy because they're winning, but they ain't happy because they ain't playing good football. But they're still top of the league and they've lost one game. So it's like no one's ever happy, right? Man United are starting to turn a little bit of form now, and they could be a dark horse this season because when you go and spend 150, 200 million on forwards, you'd expect them to do something different, right?
Danny, that's where I'm going next. I'm going next to that.
But just before you go to it, I won't go to it, Sab. But like, for example, Liverpool spent nearly £500 million on players, and they're sitting 1 point behind us, and we could go above them, right? If we win tomorrow, like that's how crazy.
Look at all those L's, Danny. Danny, look at all those L's next to Liverpool.
I know.
This is
apart from Brentford, yeah.
This is how our fans are talking about Frank, as though we've got those 4 red L's on our screen.
It's insane.
And we've lost one of our last 5 Premier League games. Can we talk?
Can I just say one other thing, Sabah, before you do that, right? Look at Arsenal, right? I'm just looking at from this graph. From this page. I'm looking at the 15-4, right? For goals scored. Sunderland 11, Man City 17, Man United 15, Bournemouth 14, Liverpool 16, and Spurs are on 14 with a forward line, bar Kudus, that is what everyone said last season, championship level. So I don't think Frank's doing pretty badly when you consider the actual shit we have up front. Like, it's actually quite nuts. He's actually in this position.
But
it's nuts.
Danny, do you know what's funny, right? Look at the logic of some of our fans. So it's okay for Slot to lose 4 games in a row because he's got credit in the bank, right? Even though he spent £450 million in the summer, right?
Don't give a shit, yeah.
But Thomas Frank loses 1 in 5, and we want to pick every single thing. Now, the interesting thing that you mentioned there about Man United, right? Now, Man United are turning form. If you look, 5 wins from their last 6 games. That's 15 points from 18, right? Man United are starting to look a little bit better. They are playing once a week, which massively helps. But Danny, you and I were talking on WhatsApp during the Man United game. So can you imagine, right? Spurs having the forward line that Man United have got, we'd be top of the league.
Yeah.
We'd be top of the league, right?
Yep.
Because every time Spurs attack and it breaks down on Odegaard or on Tell or on Richarlison or on Johnson, right?
Or Kudus getting man marked out of the game.
Yeah. But my point is, you watch Man United today, and as everyone noticed now, they've managed to get Mbeumo, Sesko, and Cunha into the team with Bruno now. They're now finding a way to get all of them in the team. And Mbeumo and Cunha, right? Mbeumo and Cunha, in this Spurs team, we'd be top of the league.
Yep.
I'm not saying we'd win the league. I hope people can tell the difference, but we'd be top of the league because all of these times where we mess up when the ball goes to these poor players. But this is what happens, Danny. Man United realised, right? Where are we weakest? Right.
Yep.
Our front three last year was what?
Crap.
Yeah, Xerxes, Hoyland, right?
The same level as ours. Same level as ours.
So Man U went out and went, all right, let's spend, it's basically £200 million on a brand new strike force.
Yep.
And slowly but surely watching them, Mbeumo starting to look the last 3-4 games like last season's Mbeumo. Cunha today looked brilliant. Sesko holding the ball up, bringing others into the game. He grabbed himself a few goals. Right now, if you watch them, but bear in mind, I'm using Man U. I'm not even using Arsenal here or City. I'm using Man United, right? Because they were where we were last year in the league, right? 15th or 16th they were, right? Swap our front three with that. Obviously, Kudus can stay, but put theirs in ours now. Danny, have we now got this panic that we've got right now if we've got that forward line?
Because, do you know why, Saba? Because those players are technically gifted footballers who know what a football is and can actually pass a football and hold a football. Not like the front three that we have, bar Kudus.
Can I come in here?
He's not even a finisher. He's not a goal scorer, Kudus, either. Not a regular goal scorer. That's not what he's there for.
No. That's a mistake.
He's not prolific.
He is a goal scorer. But you put him in a team with quality forwards around him, he's going to score more goals. Because
do you reckon he'll score double figures in the season?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
not with Richarlison or Tell as his centre forward to play.
No. You put. I've said this before, right? You put the same level of quality forwards across that front three with Kudus and a firing Xavi Simons, right? Like on form Xavi Simons with the Paulinho, maybe a midfielder who can pass a football better than what we've got, right? Forward. Then I think it's a completely different Tottenham team. You'll see. Like honestly, like if I've followed Kudus since before, when he joined Ajax when he was really young. And to see what his development, right? And to be honest, to see what he's done at Spurs already, I'm telling you, this kid, and he's only 24. Is it 24, 23 even? Right? He's got the potential to be a world-class winger. I genuinely believe that. And I don't say that normally, right?
He's got every attribute.
I see Saba, he just needs quality around him now. Like, he just needs that quality. You put quality around him, it's going to take the pressure off, because what you're seeing a lot with Kudus is, I saw it in the Monaco game, that at one point he had like a couple points, he had like 3 players around him and he was still getting past them. Like, it's nuts. The guy is unreal. He's unreal talent. Unreal. And
can I answer a couple of comments that came in 5 or 6 minutes ago? First one from Gary. Yeah, Ange won a trophy at Spurs in 2 years, gets no credit for basically for winning it. Frank ain't winning a thing. Well, Ange, let's be honest about it. Ange has only ever played one way his entire career as a manager, and for a few games we played in a different way. So if you look at it logically, the players organised that. That was nothing to do with the coach, because he doesn't know how to play that way. I think the players went to him and said, look, we've got to change, and they changed. So unfortunately, we'll never be parties to the conversations. But if you look at it logically, and look what Ange did at Forest. Tried to change a team that was bought and built for a pragmatic style of football, and instead of actually coming in and seeing the type of players there were, he thought again, his style of play would come in, even though the players didn't suit. So I just want to get this whole myth of Postecoglou smashed, because this is the worst manager I've ever seen in 60 years. Worse than Santini, worse than Gross, worse than Terry Neal. He was absolutely bloody shocking. The second comment is Jordan's, and I love watching Jordan with the comments. Danny, where are your standards? I hope Danny, what Danny's just explained regarding the sort of strikers he'd like to have, that you now understand his standards, my standards. We all want the best for this club, but unfortunately, until Frank gets players up front where we can do something properly, where we've got a centre forward that can hold up play, that can link up, bring ball, play balls back to midfield players. We've seen the odd situation, where I think Paulinia's goal against Wolves, ball was pinged in. I think, was it Sarr laid it back? Paulinia put the ball in the back of the net. We've seen very few situations. There was one with Xavi Simons where he played a 1-2 and shot just wide in one of the early home games. I think it was Wolves. We don't see this enough, and because we haven't got the quality up front, we're lacking badly. So I think it's just a question of being patient. None of us want to be patient. I don't want to be patient. I'm spending the whole day tomorrow slapping up to to the Hill Dickinson, to see our team, to see a team that I don't expect. I know I'm not going to see free-flowing football, but you go and support your team, and I'm just realistic. I realise where we are as a team at the moment. We're a top half team. That's where we are.
This is the mental thing, Lubo. This is the mental thing. Everyone is talking as. Do you know what? Last season, I don't want to talk about the manager, but last season, under the old regime, there seemed to be an excuse for every week when we didn't win. Every week there was an excuse, injuries or this or that, the other. This season, by the way, what I credit Frank for, Frank's got 9 or 10 players injured at the moment. I don't ever hear him talking about it. He hasn't mentioned it, does he? He doesn't. He never turns around and says, "Well, tough game today, but we are missing Kulu and Madison and Romero and a doggy, and Mwani's been out for 3 months,
and Solanke.
And we haven't been able to play Takai yet, or Dragusin, and Davis isn't fit, so we can't play for it." I never hear him blame injuries. And I'm someone, I don't like blaming injuries, because I think when everyone did it last year, I think we over-egged it, right? But can we just, I don't know why everyone can't just take their foot off the gas a little bit. Just a little bit. Like, if we win tomorrow, we're going to be in the top 4. After 9 games in the Premier League, we're going to be in the top 4. Quarter of the way through the season. It's not bad after finishing 17th. If we don't win tomorrow, what's the worst that's going to happen? If we don't win tomorrow, what's the worst that's going to happen? Unless Crystal Palace win, we're going to end the day in 7th, right? But we're going to end the day 2 or 3 points off of 2nd. This isn't, I just don't see the drama, guys. I genuinely don't know what all the, I don't know what the panic is.
It's because like Lubo was saying, people just want instant. They want us. The people expect it to be like I don't know, like a cheat code of Football Manager kind of thing, or a cheat code of FIFA. Like you put 500 billion or something, buy all the best players and play the best football you've ever seen. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's just not going to happen like that. And the fact that we're in a period now where we've got, let's just say, a new ownership structure or new structure in the club, we still need to see how that's going to play out, because we've got no idea. Because we could still be sitting here saying, yeah, we know what we need. We know we need maybe 2 ball playing midfielders, right? We need maybe another left winger, another striker, another goalkeeper, maybe another left back. But are we going to get the level that we actually need? Like, I know we saw it, they started to show it with like the Paulinas and the Kuduses and buying ready-made players. But are they going to continue that? So we need to see that as well, because if that's another element to that fans are forgetting. Like, it's not just like we're Man City, we can or Arsenal right now, or Liverpool, we can go and buy the best of the best. We have to see if the new board are going to do that, because they might not. Who knows? They might be the biggest. I don't know, like what do you call it? They could be the biggest liars possible. They could be bigger than Daniel Levy was. Let's be honest. Daniel Levy was working under them, so we don't know. We just don't know what's going to happen. And this is why fans should be excited, because we're in an unknown territory right now. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if January we could go and make a record signing for a left winger. Like, we don't know. Like, could you imagine if how fans would be sitting here if Tottenham went and did like £100 million deal for like a Yildiz in January? Could you imagine? With Juventus needing money or some shit like this. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but could you imagine if it happened? Like, what, fans going to be pissed off that we've gone and broken our transfer record for arguably one of the best left wingers on the planet right now? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know the problem is, Danny? It's not about being happy or being disappointed. We're at that point now where we have to.
Yeah.
We can't afford to not to, because, I mean, if we're not going to get Semenyo or whoever, Adiemi, Yildiz, whoever, there is such a big gap now between the top and the middle. I mean, even United, you look at the three that they brought in, there's such a big gap now that you can't afford to be going and getting, you know, like a few seasons ago, you could kind of get like a mid-table player and you could make him a top 6 player. Now we're so far behind. If we bought one of those and they're a top 6 player, we would rely on him week in, week out, because the drop off from that to Odegaard is so big. If we went out and got like for me, I think Mawani would be really good for us, and the reason I think he'll be good for us is because he's the only player in the team that actually runs behind the line. I think with one attacking run draws more players than any tactics or star. One attacking run in behind will draw 2 or 3 players, and that will give Kudos space. So for me, I think Mawani will do really well, but I think that the kids, there is no opportunity for them to just sort of like ease their way into it. We're so far behind now that they need to say, right, there's a 70-80 million pound winger, there's a 70-80 million pound number 8, there's a 70-80 million pound striker. Or unless we keep Mawani, obviously. So I'm not sure what. But say, for example, if Mawani's fit, for me, I expect, if these guys are talking how they're talking, I expect a 70-80 million pound left wing and a 70-80 million pound number 8. If they are talking how everyone is, then that's what I expect.
Yep.
But you know what,
I doubt we'll spend that sort of money.
That's the key thing, James, for me. What you just said there. The gap is going to get bigger.
Yes.
And you know, when I use Man United as an example just now, I'm not using Man United as an example of the Man U that used to win trophies. I'm using them as an example of a team that finished bottom half and went out and went, you know what we're going to do? We're going to drop £200 million on a brand new strike force. Right? Now, fans can argue all day long, so-and-so is not worth 70, 60. I don't care about that, right? At the end of the day, Man United have gone and got a brand new first team attack. Yeah. And in the last 3-4 games, you can see it. When they go forward, every time they scare people because Cunha and Buemo, Sesko slowly coming into the games and getting more game time. Look at that, James, and look at ours. Like, I genuinely don't understand. These fans, like I'll call him out like Dietrich's in the chat saying, oh, Frank this, Frank that. I'm sorry. If this was a manager that those people liked, they would soon be coming around to the reality of, well, look at the forwards this manager has got. If Frank right now had Kulu, Madders, Solanke, Mawani, if they were all fit and we were playing like this, I've got questions. I've got questions if they're all fit and we're playing like this. But right now, none of them are fit, and we're playing people like Tell and Odegaard. And then what happens is everyone's now overcompensating. So you watched the other night, Odegaard does a couple of passes and puts in one good cross, and we go, cool, I thought he played well. James, that's where our standards are at the moment. Our standards are at a winger gets a cross in or beats a man once, and we go, cool, look, didn't he have a good game?
I think
that isn't where we should be. That's not where we should be. We should be having what we've got with Kudus on the right wing. I'm not saying it has to be a carbon copy. That's the level of player we should be seeing on the left wing. We shouldn't be sitting here going, patience, give Odegaard time. Cool. If you want to give Odegaard time, Odegaard should be the bloke coming on for the last 10 minutes of games. Odegaard should be the bloke that starts against Doncaster. right? Odegaard should be the bloke that we go, okay, we're playing Newcastle in the cup. Odegaard, you go and play that game. But he's starting games for us. He's our first choice left winger. Tell and Richie are our first choice strikers.
This comes back to what I've said about the transfer policy. The key thing now, Spurs can catch up very quickly. You look at our PSR FFP. We've always got miles of headroom, loads of always. The other clubs, not so much. The other clubs stretch themselves. Our owners have never done this. And because of this, we're always those one or two players short. Always. Now, if the Lewis kids are serious about what they're saying and their actions are going to back up their words, then we can catch up very quickly. Because you can. By spending the money on quality players. And all of a sudden, it's no secret. The best teams have the best players, best squads. If we started buying quality players and spending the money and wages on quality players, we will catch up very, very quickly with the teams that are ahead of us. It's not rocket science. It's all about, instead of spending money on kids who may well come through, by bringing good kids, but bringing good established players at the same time. This is Tottenham Hotspur.
Or if you want to improve, Ian, you've got to forget about the kids.
No, you don't, Dan.
Yes,
no,
you do.
No, there's got to be
I'm sorry, forget the kids. Look, Odegaard is not good enough. Tell is not good enough. Gray is not good enough. Bergvall shouldn't really be a first-team player. We should have better there. Instead of going out and getting that £100 million player, we're in more of a position because we've got Odegaard, because we've got Tells, because we've got Gray, and because we've got Bergvall, who is better than them three, but shouldn't be first 11. We need to go out and get two good £50 million players to make that first 11 better, to drag the others back off, to give us a bit of depth there. It'd be great to go and get forget about it.
Not listen to what I just said.
Are not good enough, man. We need players now.
There's room for both.
There could be room for it, but we ain't going to go and pay 200 million, Ian.
There's
Lubo, that aspect, mate.
Lubo, there's not room for both. And I'll tell you why. Let me explain why. Because if we are 1-0 up and we're facing Man City away, Arsenal away, and you look at your bench and say Pellegrini gets injured and you say there's room for both, who are you bringing on? Archie Gray? But what I'm saying is, mate, is you say there's room for both. There's room for both if you're talking of kids coming through the academy. So, for example, Jamie Donnelly. I mean, I don't rate him. I don't think he's nowhere near as good as what people do. But Jamie Donnelly, if Jamie Donnelly is coming through, if Jamie Donnelly is coming through the ranks, then I would say, for example, I'd have James Maddison, I'd have Xavi, and then I'll have a Jamie Donnelly, a third choice or a fourth choice. You cannot have kids in your starting squad and expect to do anything. And the proof is in the pudding. Arsenal, for the last 2 or 3 years, have had loads of kids on their bench, done nothing. Ain't it funny how the one season that they've got senior pros the whole way through their squad, they're now looking dangerous.
Mm-hmm. We're really going to catch up with the other teams, Ian, if we go and buy another 50 million
you're talking about Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly is one player in the whole squad. So, all right, if you have a wonder kid.
You got in Wary. You've got
he's very rarely there.
Max Salmon's being played more and more now.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He will come through within, by the time he's 18, he'll be a regular.
If you're talking about catching up with them,
Lubo, you just said, and I agree with half what you're saying. I disagree with the other half. The half I agree with you is that if we want to act properly, we will catch up quickly. I agree.
That's my point from today's save.
No, I understand. I'm agreeing with that half of your argument. But that is why when I sat there in the summer and said, I think that our window was negligent, and you lot all said to me, oh, no, you can't do everything in one window. I wasn't asking to do everything. I was asking us to do the bare minimum of what we needed. And loads of fans, including yourself, said, well, no, it's a good start. We didn't do what we needed in the window, right? But that's not the point. Point is, can we catch up? Yes. But when you're saying there's room for both, do Man City do Liverpool, do Arsenal, if we're looking at them as the biggest free, do we agree they're the best free clubs in the country? Right? I know Liverpool are in shit form right now, but you know, right?
Yeah.
When the Liverpool, Arsenal, and City go out and sign 20-year-olds unless they're top players.
Well, City have got a very good academy, haven't they? They've got a brilliant academy, so they don't need to go out and spend £100 million on 4 players. They're bringing them through. Their scouts, their recruitment's superb.
That's not my point.
No. When they've dominated the league, they haven't bring loads of kids through. This year, they've started to bring kids through, and they've flopped in it.
Right.
I'm sorry to say that the more kids you bring through, the more you fall. Unless they are absolutely Lamine Miles, unfortunately, the level is so far below. I mean, Mikey Moore, people are saying how good he is. He is so far behind, even players like Odebert. So, and Odebert is miles and miles up behind anybody else. So, we need to kind of be realistic about this whole bringing the young guys through, because for me, no one, from my recent recognition, it was the last squad to bring loads of kids through and actually win anything.
But the only one out of our players that have been even half decent is Bergvall out of the young ones. The rest of them, Odebert, he's had a good 10 minutes here and there. Well done, Gray. Cracking 10 minutes the other day, then evaporated with the rest of the team. And that's about the best I've seen him play for us.
Good game last on.
He had a good 10 minutes. Come on, man. And then he did the rest of it. He did. That's the best 10 minutes I've seen him do. But
that's low, Dan. You knew what you were doing.
He's not good enough. Tell is not good enough either. Bergvall is the only young one we've got that has got any right to even step into that team at times. And we should have a better player than Bergvall.
I'll be honest.
That's what I mean. Yeah. He's the only one
should be getting 10 minutes.
Who's got any quality to be there, basically.
But my problem is, right, and by the way, I will disagree with Dan on one, but I do think that Archie Gray played well the other night. But I do agree with Dan's point on in general. If Tottenham Hotspur, if we really, really want to be a club, see, this is where I always this is where I get confused with you, Lubo. It's like you always say you want Spurs to compete with the best and you want to be the best, but we're championing lots and lots of average players and lots of kids that are miles away from what those clubs above us do. So we're kind of living in this fairy tale utopian world where we're going to be different to everyone else. Let's just bring through all these youngsters and let them all learn and grow. But at the same time, we want to be right at the top of the table competing with the Arsenals and the Cities and the Liverpools. Let's be brutally honest. By the way, Lewis Skelly and Waneri, for me, are miles above the teenagers we have. They are miles above. And they don't start for Arsenal. They are miles above what we've got, right? The players we're watching are nowhere near as good as those players, right? And there's a reason why we are where we are in the league. You've got a young player up front in Tell, a young player on the left in Odebert, young players in midfield in either Bergvall or Gray. You know, at what point do we as fans turn around and stop? Like, I've never known a certain portion of this fan base, and you are one of them, Lubo. I always say, I'll say it to your face, you know, because not by. It just feels like we're so driven by this need for these young players to be better than they are that we're foregoing what the actual good is of the football club. Right now, Bergvall, Gray, Sarr, Tell, Odebert, these boys should not be in Tottenham's squad. If we're going to buy them, they should be out on loan and we have senior players playing and then maybe one of them comes in. But what happens is Gray plays well the other night. And straight away, look at how you and all the others have massively overreacted to him playing well at left back. Suddenly, he should be our number 8 playing in midfield. He's the progressive passer, right?
I don't think he disgraces himself whenever he plays. I think he handles himself when he does. Okay.
Hang on. But that's not my point. My point is the week before, you and the others were clambering for Bergvall. It's Bergvall this week. He's the youngster this week that should be playing instead of Bentancur. Odebert. Look at the way Odebert gets praised by this fan base.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
But you actually, you look at his record in a Tottenham shirt. It's absolutely disgustingly bad. But but he puts in a good cross and we go, God, see what Odegaard did? He's a professional footballer. I should expect him to be putting in a cross or a pass, right? We do it with Tell.
They're not ready.
Give him time. He might come good. He's break. Like, we talk like we're a team that's been promoted, but then we berate the club for not acting like a top club that wins. I don't understand.
Exactly.
I don't understand what we want. Do you want why are we
before.
so bothered that there's kids in the squad? Why does everyone care?
We should be.
What
we
do
should
you
be
want? Do you want
professionals.
kids or do you want players for now?
No, Dan.
I'll go back a step, yeah. I'll say 15 minutes because that whole team folded after 15 minutes and we had 24 shots on us. So that whole back four didn't do a very good bloody job. But for 15 minutes, he looked solid. I must admit, I was like, oh, he's done something for a change. And then he folded with the rest of the bloody team. The whole team did except the goalkeeper. So take that one how you wish. If you want to improve now and catch up now, you got to put the kids aside. Forget the kids.
No,
You got to get the players for now. And then when we get to a stage that we can fight for something, then slowly bring the kids in with it. You got to build your first team first.
Yeah, can I say something? Like,
do both.
There's a lot of people that say like, oh yeah, the kids need time or blah blah blah. Say for example, again, just the name everyone's saying is Semenyo. Isn't Semenyo 25? Is he 25? So say for example we buy him in January. Just say he's got 5 or 6 years at Spurs before potentially being overtaken. So these 21-year-olds that are coming in that are so-called wonder kids that we need to have time. They're never going to get a game. They ain't going to overtake someone like Semenyo. They ain't got it in their ability, to be honest. So, for me, all these kids and all these kids that you're kind of saying, yeah, they need time. For me,
But James,
West Ham or people at the bottom of the table, they're the ones that are kind of, let's hope we could bring a kid through and make money on him or he could take us to the next level. We need to be at that level. We can't be taking punts on you hoping to get to that level. It's just not good enough.
Exactly.
But
we need this folded now.
Sav, I've said on your show. I've said on your show that we've got enough kids.
Sorry, I just want to say, because when I read things like this, Matt, you're not listening. You can have a couple of youngsters around the club, but they should be getting a few minutes here, a few minutes there. They shouldn't be the first team. The youngsters that make the first team are the elite youngsters, right?
That's absolutely that's absolutely nonsense.
If you look at use West Ham as an example. Declan Rice was an elite young player, right? I think we can all agree. He came into the West Ham team and he was straight away one of their best players at the age of 17, 18, right? And then he progressed and stayed in the team. But what we're doing is we're looking at these players who aren't good enough for the team yet. And there are starters, James. There are starters. It's not that, by the way, Odegaard, I've got no problem. If Odegaard is your winger on the bench and he's coming on for the last 10 minutes, I've got no problem with that. But when you're starting with Odegaard, questions need to be asked about recruitment and about squad planning. Questions have to be asked. I said at the beginning of the show, what number 8 you putting in instead of Bentancur that's more progressive? Who moves? Gray. A guy that we've never seen play there, never demonstrated he can do that. That's the level where we're at. So we're at the stage where we're talking about Archie Gray being our number 8. And in the same breath, we're talking about we want to catch up City, Liverpool and Arsenal. It's absolutely mental. And then if you say this, everyone says, why don't we give kids time? Guys, we are Tottenham Hotspur. This is not Sunday League. This is not Sunday League where everyone gets a go because they're your mate or, oh, he's a nice guy. We should be worrying about the first team. And then if any kids come through, that's a bonus. But right now, we've got far too many that are being praised. Far too many that are being praised for doing nothing. And then the same people praising those players who aren't good enough are berating the manager for not getting really good quality performances out of the team. I don't know what we want. Do we want to be a top team or do we want to be a youth team?
With that comment where he said the youth or the kids are our future, other than Harry Kane, when was the last time any of these kids were our future?
Exactly. Exactly.
And the reason is, when you're a big club, say for example, again, Odeberg takes another level, or Mikey Moore. When you get to that point and they're in the squad for 2-3 years, you then have to buy on top of those to make your squad better. So for me, unless you're an absolute elite footballer of a youth player, you're never going to make it and be the future of any club. So it's just absolute nonsense.
Listen,
look, Matt, I've got to get rid of mate. Mate, I'll be honest, I don't want my midfield to have Bentancur, Gray or Bergvall in it, mate. But right now, I don't care what anyone says. I'll argue this with anyone on the panel. Bentancur is better than Gray and Bergvall. The problem is that Bentancur gets that Gray and Bergvall get praised more because they're young. But Bentancur is the better footballer than those two. He's stronger. He's more intelligent. He gets in the right positions. He can pass the ball better than those guys, but he's not fashionable. So it's, let's give one of the kids a go. I'll tell you what then, tomorrow, start with Archie Gray in centre mid. When it goes wrong, if it goes wrong, don't blame Frank. Because I don't watch Archie Gray and think centre mid. I watch him. I said this on the show the other night. For me, he's Phil Neville. And that's not a bad thing. Phil Neville had a very good career. But for me, he is somebody that fills in at right back, fills in at left back. Then for the last 10, 15, you can put him in midfield. I've never seen him play centre mid and run a game. And now suddenly we've got fans like Lugo going, get him in there, let him run the game. I don't want Archie Gray running the game.
We need 250. This is why we need two £50 million players and not £100 million player at the moment. I don't think we're at that point where, I mean, okay, if we go and get that player, brilliant. But I think we're more of a point where instead of a quality player, we need two good players out there, let alone very good players out there. And that is what we need. And to do that, you got to push the kids aside. Forget about them. If you want it done now and you want to catch up and improve now, you got to push the kids aside, forget about them, because none of them are bloody good enough. Bergvall is the only one that's even got half a leg to stand on. Not one of the other three even get into any other team in the first 11 in the Premier League. Okay, maybe I'll push West Ham a little bit. But apart from that, they don't even get into another 11 in the Premier League. They shouldn't even be on our subs bench, really.
Really?
We need that depth. Yeah, really.
Are you telling me Champions League game on Wednesday night and played well, and you're telling me you shouldn't even be on the bench?
We played well on Wednesday night against Monaco when they had 23 shots at us. No, he did not. Lay off, Ian.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so he played well as a left back, along with the other three at the back, along with a right back, two centre backs, and we conceded 23 shots. Yeah. 15 minutes, he looked better. Apart from that, Dan, he was as bad as the rest of the team, the keeper.
This is a question for everyone. Listen, I thought Archie Gray played well, like decent. But you know me, I don't go overboard. Who was the best player on the park?
Vicario.
Oh, no.
For Spurs or the whole game?
The whole game. Who was the best player on the pitch?
Well, I think it was Paulinho, personally. And Kudus pretty much got pushed out.
Right, Akliouche. I thought Akliouche was the best player.
I thought you meant for us. I thought you meant for us.
No. I thought Akliouche was superb. Where did Akliouche spend most of the game?
Up front. Out wide.
Leaning on towards the right-hand side.
On the left.
Right-hand side.
But the problem you've got, Dan, is I thought Gray did well.
For 15
but again,
minutes.
Doing well, it gets elevated to Archie Gray. And look, I think he did well. But
for 15 minutes, he looked good. And then he started giving the ball away left, right, and centre, screwed the passes up, and then just went down with the rest of the team. First 15 minutes, he actually stood out. And I thought that's probably the best I've seen him play at Spurs. And then he just folded with the rest of the team.
I want to ask sort of like Lubo a few questions, because I personally think that Lubo, this is no disrespect, because I appreciate like your opinion and stuff, but I think your standards are on the floor, mate, to be honest.
You do.
Because if you're thinking that people like Gray and players like that should be given the chance and be on the subs bench, then for me, the standards are on the floor. For me, I want Locatelli in there and I want Bentancur on the bench. That's what I want. I don't want any kids on the bench.
James, we can't buy anyone till Jan, so I'm talking about what we've got here. You know, everybody talks about, we can talk about who we missed, we can talk about who we want to buy, but at the moment we've got about 12 games now between now and the end of the year. roughly? Is it 12 games? Something like that, 12, 14 games. We've got to talk about what we're doing now. We can all speculate. We can all talk.
But we was talking generically, though, wasn't we? We was talking generically about buying players and having the youth in, and you said we should have the youth, and we was all saying no, we should be buying players.
Gray over Bentancur. Let me just ask you that. In general, do you want to see Gray playing in centre mid above Bentancur?
No. In home games against non-top 6 teams, yes, I would.
See, and this baffles me.
So by that,
I want to see him given a chance. I've seen what Bentancur can do. He's not the same player as he was before his 2 injuries. He's a gifted player. I loved him when Conte brought him. But personally, I'd like to see if Gray can progress. If he can't, then he's not up to it.
So Lubo, what you said they're not against a top 6 club. Why not against a top 6 club?
Because I think we've got to be more pragmatic against the top 6 club, James.
Right. Okay. So, but surely you play your best. You play your best squad week in, week out. No.
Well,
wasn't the idea that we got?
James, we're playing far better away from home than we are at home this season. There's a massive gap in performance and the number of points.
But why is Graham Bentancur the difference between home and? Like, I don't get it. I don't get why
it's the only difference. I haven't said it's the only difference.
Yes,
but we're specifically talking about midfield. It's one part of the team. You know, it's not all or nothing, Sav. It's just one area.
So Aston Villa, are people really telling me that Paulinho and Bentancur didn't control the midfield versus Onana, McGinn and
I think hang on.
Onana, McGinn, and Kamara, right? Are people really saying, by the way, we should have beaten Villa? I thought we had the chances to beat Villa. I thought Bentancur and Paulinho in that game controlled the midfield. They won all of their battles, right? But then the first thing everyone did was go, oh, Bentancur don't pass the ball forward. Well, no, he's busy mopping up. He's busy mopping up at the moment. He's busy battling against 6'4" Onana or whatever he is. Are you telling me we want to see Archie Gray doing that role that Bentancur did last week against Onana, McGinn, and Kamara?
Not against Villa, because I classify Villa and Newcastle with the top 4 as the best 6 teams. So I wouldn't play. I would play Bentancur against Villa, Newcastle, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Liverpool.
God, look, when some of these players can't even stand out against Doncaster, for God's sake. Doncaster, and they still can't even stand out.
Can I tell you why I think our home form struggles?
We've won 4 points out of 12 at home, and they've won. And fine, if there's nothing
at home, we've been poor. At home, we've been poor.
But can I tell you why I believe that we're poor at home? The reason I think there's 2 reasons for our poor home form. One, I think the home fans are absolutely diabolical. They're absolutely shocking. I would say they're probably the worst in the league right now, to be fair. And 2, I find that with when you're at home, you have more of the ball. And for me, when you have people like Richarlison, Odegaard, Tells, whoever else in Cam, the more you have the ball, the more times you make mistakes, the more important it is to make use of it. So for me, you may get away with having a Richarlison against a team like City where they don't get any of the ball. He's like relies on one finish, one there. That's the sort of player he is. But when you actually rely on him to actually control the ball, bring the ball down, take a touch, relay people in, he's not good enough as a footballer. Same with Tell, same with Odegaard, same with Johnson. They're terrible footballers. So for me, when you're at home and you have all of the ball, you need to be efficient with it. And the reason we ain't winning at home is because we have all of the ball and we have absolutely no end product, middle product. It's shocking. Unfortunately, when you're at home, you need your players to stand out. And the ones that stand out are the good footballers. Tell, Odegaard, Gray, they're not good footballers.
They're not. I mean, Tell. I mean, why we even got him, it just blows your head off. Yeah. I just do not know why. Odegaard, exactly the same. Bergvall, understandable, 10 mil. He's the only one out of them that I've seen progress in any means or manner. And Gray hasn't even lived up to the standards that Harry Winks was.
Yeah, but Dan, for me, I mean, I'm not saying a good player either. Listen, there's been plenty of players that are good players that are not good footballers. And I'm talking about a good footballer. So for me, even Bergvall. People say Bergvall's a good footballer. Mate, the guy gives away the ball more times than he makes successful
in that
passes.
final third. That's where his
that's
problem
for
is,
me, he's not a
final
good
third.
footballer.
He
But
gets,
last
he
week,
gets the
James,
ball well.
everyone-
He goes forward
everyone
well,
was
but it's
crying out for
the
him.
final third. It's
Last
his
week,
last
everyone
bit
was
he needs
crying
to
out for
improve.
Bergvall, right? Bergvall starts against Monaco. Honestly, he was absolutely dreadful.
He was bad.
Right? But yet Bentancur's the one that keeps getting the blood. I feel like people are seeing something that they want to see rather than what they're actually seeing. Right? And when I went through and I did all the data MB passing stats for the last 2-3 years for all of these players that I keep being told pass the ball better than Bentancur don't. None of their data and stats show that they pass it forward more than him, right? That they've got a better pass percentage, all of these different things. But suddenly Bentancur's become the scapegoat in this team. Has anyone thought that maybe Spurs don't get the ball forward quick enough because we haven't got a centre forward that can hold on to the ball? Has anyone thought maybe it's because we don't have wide men that are effective enough at holding up the ball other than Kudus? But it feels to me that every show I've watched this week, every YouTube show I've watched, every panelist is saying the same thing. And I'm sitting there thinking, how are we not calling out this shit forward line? How on earth are we looking at Bentancur and going, by the way, just because everyone in the chat will think I love Bentancur, everyone on this panel knows I think Bentancur's decent. He's okay. He's a decent midfielder. But the fact is, he's still better than Sarr. He's still better than Bergvall. And he's still better than Archie Gray.
But he's not good enough. But he's not good enough.
I think that would actually do well in this system, funnily enough, is the one player that none of our fans want, and that's Basuma.
Yeah. We would actually play him the way
has got better passing. But believe it or not, Basuma's forward passing hisses all over Bergvall's and Gray's and Sarr's. But
agreed.
I feel like we want it to work because they're kids. And I'm not saying that Archie Gray can't come in and play a game, but I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
With Basuma, he looked terrible. I think he's done and dusted with his head anyway. He's had enough chances. I can't blame anyone for wanting him gone. But with the managers he's had and the way he's been played, like a lot of players were last season, he's been played totally out of sync. Look where he made 80-90% of his mistakes, all in defence. He's not a defensive-minded player in any means or manner. He's a high-pressing box-to-box. You've got a low-pressing box-to-box who comes back further as a DM and presses forward, and then you've got the one who gets just below the halfway line and gets up and then passes that final third. That is what he's good at. Basically, what Bergvall does, but you actually get a final pass off of him. Whereas Bergvall, you might get a shot or a pass once in a blue moon off of him. That's where he's young and that's where he needs to improve. And I think he will improve. But again, we shouldn't even be looking at him for a choice for our first team. Not if we want to catch up with all these other teams and everything like people are saying. Basuma, for what people are asking, is the one who could probably actually deliver it in that aspect if he's played his way.
Dan, let's take out the 10s out of midfield and let me ask you. You say about Basuma not being able to tackle.
He's not a defensive-minded player.
No, but Rice and Zubimendi can both tackle. Gravenberch and Szoboszlai can both tackle.
Yeah,
these players can do both. You can't have Basuma that's great box to box but can't tackle. That's no good.
Yes, you can. If you ain't asking him to defend and you want him to go forward, that's exactly what you want him to do.
You attackers one and you a defenders one.
No, there's two types of box to box. There's two types of a box to box here, and there's a defensive box to box and more of attacking box to box. There's two different types you play it in it. Yeah, you've got the one who's. Well, look at how he played for us. No, well, there's two ways you play it. You've got the one who sits back, who comes back to a deeper DM role and goes forward with a ball, and then you got the one who comes back a little bit but goes further up with a ball because you can't expect someone in a DM position. Not when he's meant to press forward with the ball, right up and pass it with a direct ball. The tackling isn't the main part of the game.
Hang on. Can I just say what we're saying about Basuma, by the way, right? Basuma, just by way of reference, is yellow, right? If you actually look at Basuma for his duels one, his possession one, his passing, right? Isn't that everything that you just said, Lubo, that Basuma can't do, right? If you look here, guess which one is Bergvall?
Blue.
You think it's blue? Everyone think it's blue?
Oh no.
Which one Bergvall is?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one is Bergvall?
Carrying the ball. He gets forward with the ball, doesn't
Bergvall's
So
pink.
red.
Red.
If you actually
Very
look
good.
at Bergvall, he doesn't pass the ball forward. His forward passing rate is terrible, right? His duels are terrible, right? But he's very good at carrying the ball. So this is what I mean. When people say to me, Bentancur is blue, by the way. So Bentancur, you can see there, Bentancur's ball carrying is non-existent. We know that. But if you look at this, other than Basuma, look how much higher up his forward passes are than someone like Bergvall. So when people are going to me, it's too defensive having Bentancur in that midfield. We need a ball player. We need Bergvall. This shows you Bergvall doesn't do that job. This shows you for everyone that wants him to start in the 8, that's not what Bergvall does. Bergvall carries the ball. Everything else he does there isn't very good, is it?
Yeah.
If you actually look, Bergvall is at the bottom for most things in that graph in the midfield.
That final third is where he misses.
Right.
Yeah.
He's very good at carrying the ball, but everything else there shows you.
Shame you can't combine them together.
Yeah, he's not good with his duels, right? He's not good with his progressive passes, his forward pass percentage, but he's bloody good at carrying it. He doesn't win a lot of possession compared to the other two. And this is what I mean. When people say, I used my eyes and Bentancur doesn't, well, the data, along with me watching them play football, tells me that this isn't true. Now, this is those three, right? Can I show you, by the way? Can I show you the levels of how far behind we are with these players, guys?
Yeah, go on.
I'm going to show you Declan Rice. Right?
I was going to say as well, Sav, can you compare to like a Ruben Neves as well?
I can't do Neves because he's not playing in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready? This is
go on.
Declan Rice. Right, Declan Rice is in purple.
Fuck, bloody hell.
Right, this is the levels that we're at. Right now,
That's nuts.
Now I'll remove Declan Rice. Let me show you. Let's say someone not as experienced as Rice. Let's look at Adam Wharton. Right.
Yeah.
So Adam Wharton's in orange. Okay. So Adam Wharton again. You can see that Adam
Look at his
Wharton
progressive passes and key passes.
Right. Jules, progressive passes, key passes. His forward passes is just about the same as Bentancur's, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
And his carrying is better.
But his progressive passes, that's the key.
Let's move him. I'm going to show you a player who I think would be a really good signing and wouldn't be crazy. Right?
Tottenham.
I'm going to show you a player.
What about Tottenham, actually? Try him after.
Hang on. Look at this. This is Yao Gomez.
Yeah, right? He's great.
So let me get rid of Bentancur because there's two blues. So Gomez is the blue. Right? So when you look at that, look at Yao Gomez. He's good at everything. Right? This is what I think Danny was getting at. When we're talking about we want these young players to all be in, this is the difference you get. If you buy proper ready-made footballers, look at the players you get. Now, here's another one, right? This is Stiller. If any of you have seen Stiller.
Ah, Stiller's levels.
Have a look at this. So this is Stiller.
Levels.
Right? Stiller is the...
Yeah, look, he's levels.
Right.
He's levels.
So this is what we're talking about. This is the levels where we are at, and our fan base are going, why don't we control games? Why?
Do you know what, Tav?
Do
you know what?
Why don't we control games? Why aren't we progressive enough? Why don't we take more risks moving the ball forward? Well, because none of our players can do it. So it's all well and good, all these people having a pop, but no one does their homework. It's a nice thing to say. Just pass it forward more. Well, funnily enough, buy a footballer that passes the ball forward.
Do you know what? Somebody. I always forget about Stiller, but he'd actually be the perfect player to play alongside Paulinho. Could you imagine him alongside Paulinho, how good he'd be?
Look at that. The green.
That's
the green
Paulinho.
is that is Locatelli. Look
You've
at
been asking for 2 years, 3 years.
He
He
controls the game of football. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. And our fans want Bergvals and Grays and Sars. Look
Locatelli.
at that.
He's a deep line playmaker, and he knows how to. The only thing he's not good at is running with the ball because he's not quick. He's not quick at it. And in the Italian league, you don't need to be so quick. And then half time in Europe, you don't need to be so quick.
I think Stilla would.
Locatelli would work brilliant. I mean, Sava, we went through this, was it last season or
Even
season
Stilla.
before? That we went through him of one of the 5 players that we mentioned that we would have had in midfield over what we got. And people told us Locatelli, not a chance. He wouldn't be able to cope with it. He can't do it. Whatever turns you on at the end of the day.
Stilla's 24 as well. He's so young.
Even in the pink.
Barella,
See, this is Barella, right? See, this is the levels, guys. This is why when Spurs fans just say things like, we're not progressive enough. Well, yeah, because we didn't buy that type of footballer. We're not creative enough. We'll buy some creative passing footballers.
Yeah.
We've got fans that will say, I don't want Conor Gallagher, but you put Conor Gallagher against our midfielders, right?
Try Conor Gallagher. Just add him in. Yeah.
If you put Conor Gallagher, so Conor Gallagher's in the red. But again, look at Conor Gallagher.
Good stats as well. Yeah.
Right? But if I said right now, Danny, if I said Spurs should go and get Conor Gallagher, our fans will go, we've got Bergvall. Look at the levels. Look at the levels.
In terms of key passes and also carrying the ball and forward passes, he levels above what we have. He's closer to the Barellas and stuff of forward passes and key passes.
Gallagher is a super player.
Yeah.
Would he come to Spurs from
yeah.
Look at the difference.
You think
look
he comes from Spain now?
Look at that. That's nuts. The only thing Bergval's better at is
if you mention it, right, you're negative. Give these players a chance. Bergvall, for me, should be learning from a Conor Gallagher. If that's the type of player you want, Conor Gallagher is the guy that goes. Let's be fair. If Conor Gallagher came to Spurs right now, in and alongside Paulinho, you've got the one that sits and does everything.
Class.
Conor Gallagher is your box-to-box number 8 who can pass the ball, grabs goals, great engine, loves tackling, good in the air. Key passes are good, forward passes are good, right? But our fans, we didn't. You remember, Dan? We did this show last summer, right? Didn't want Locatelli. Didn't want Gallagher.
And he was for sale. Juventus made it clear he was for sale.
Yeah.
Yep.
Saba, add Sar into this one just to see the difference as well. Yeah. Pap Sar. I think a few people were asking for it as well. I think you can see the difference. So even Pap Sar's forward passes and key passes are better
than Bergval's.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. Everyone keeps telling me Bergval's this great. And by the way, he's young. I know he's young. But if you're asking him to be in the Tottenham first team, this is the level of the competition we're up against, right? Like, look, if you look here, let's add in Moises Caicedo, right? So Moises Caicedo is in the blue, right? But look how these guys are so well-rounded.
Yeah.
Look how well-rounded they are compared to our players. Right, so that's what Chelsea have got. That's what Arsenal had. Ryan Gravenberch, right? Ryan Gravenberch, another one. Key passes aren't great, but look at everything else. 4 passes, carrying, possession 1, duels, progressive passes. This is where we say we want to get to, but then look at the players we want to play in those positions.
That's exactly my point. If you want to catch up with them, you've got to buy the quality to do it. Forget the youth. Do that later. Focus on that later. Focus on what your team needs now, not what it needs in 10 years' time. Because who knows, we might have another cranky season like last one. And if there would have been a Sunderland or a Leeds last season, we'd have gone down. We can't.
Could you do someone like Lavia? Could you do someone like Lavia?
Yeah, 1 second. I'm just wondering why I can't get John McGinnis.
Type J dot so John J dot M. Type in like J dot M Sav.
Yeah, Jay. I don't know why it will not give me McGinn. I don't know if they're not classing him as a centre midfielder. It bloody well should be. I don't know. I can't get John McGinn. Who did you want? Lavia?
Yeah, someone like Lavia.
Hasn't played enough to give data.
Because in theory, that's their sort of second or third choice. So it would have been good to get someone like that compared to Bergvall or Gray or.
But do you see what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this is everything, but it gives you a good idea of when people say things like, "Oh, he's the best passer of the ball at our club. He's the best progressive." When you actually look at the data, it's not true. Bentancur's progressive passing is better than all of our players other than Yves Bissouma.
Mm-hmm.
But what we'll do is everyone's floating around, oh, did you see that pass map against Aston Villa? Well, yeah, against Aston Villa, he was in a midfield battle against 3 players. He won it and he gave it. But I just, look, I don't know. Let's have a look at Paulinho. What do you think we're going to see from João Paulinho? Right? That's everything you would think, right? Possession, 1 and duels.
Yeah,
he's a DM through and through. That is what he is.
Yeah,
he is a defensive out and out player.
They class on this site. They class John McGinn as a forward.
do they?
That's why. Yeah, that's why you couldn't get him up.
See, I can. Okay, so I can. I don't think it will have the same measurements, will it?
It doesn't let you. No, it doesn't let you. No,
Yeah,
FW, yeah.
Yeah. But it won't. It's not gonna.
No.
Yeah,
different.
We can have a look and see what John McGinn.
Why is he down as a winger? That doesn't make any sense.
They have played him there a couple of games of late.
It's difficult because we're not looking at the same data here,
Yeah.
we don't really know. But look, let's be fair. I'd love John McGinn in our midfield, but anyway, look, I just think it's interesting. I'm not saying this is the be all and end all, guys. I just find it interesting when you actually break it down. Yuri Tielemans, by the way. So this is this season. Yuri Tielemans, again, levels above ours.
Yeah, he wasn't good enough for us, was he?
But he wasn't good enough for us on a free transfer. So isn't it funny who was great?
That was Poch again with him.
Yeah, it's
no, hang on. And 2 years ago when he went to Aston Villa on a free,
yeah,
I remember people were going, "Go and get him," and we didn't. People want to see Damsgaard. I don't know if Damsgaard will show up as a centre mid. Let's have a look. By the way, what a footballer this is! And Damsgaard. So Damsgaard.
That's this season, Sav. That's this season.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that you're checking for this season? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Damsgaard, but is a playmaker. So this is very, very different to what we're talking about. But what I will do is I'll show you James Maddison. Right.
Do we think Maddison could play the 8?
Do the stats from last year, Sav. Yeah, change it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
See?
Look at the difference.
There's James Maddison. Look at now. This boy can pass.
Yeah,
this boy can pass a football. See, this is.
Do you think he could play the 8? Do you think he could play next to Paulinho in a double pivot?
No, I'd play him quite happily as the 10 and stick Simmons out on the left. I think you'd be fine with them two like that. Okay, you might not see the best out of Simmons, but it'd definitely be positive on what we have got sitting there at the moment.
Yeah.
So you don't think that he could play the 8 and then have Gavi in front to play?
No,
or play one DM, 2 in front?
I don't think Maddison's got the engine for it. He's brittle anyway.
We wanted him as well, didn't we, Dan?
Oh yeah, Kone.
You could also, who's that? Sorry, that's
Manu Kone.
Manu Kone.
He was 30 million euros last year, if I'm not wrong. 30 million euros when Roma bought him. And we went and bought, without being rude, we went and bought Archie Gray for 40.
But Sav, if we're buying through data analysis, why, if you can pick these up, why is Lang not doing this?
No, I'm not saying, by the way, look at McTominay. That's a really interesting one for McTominay. I'm not saying Luba, my point is this site, just for me, reaffirms what I think I see on the pitch anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think it reaffirms for me that when people are gassing up Bergvall, for example, he can do this, he can do that. And I think, hang on, but does he do it? I don't think he does. Let me go and check the data. No, the data's showing that he doesn't do it either.
Sava, I think with Bergvall, like I say, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement there, and I think he's going to improve a lot. You can see there is a player there. He has done stuff and improved over the time he's been here. But I think what he does is give a lot of people Spurs supporters what they want, and that's that little bit of flair for a couple of seconds before he gets knocked flying off the ball or don't pass it straight. He gives that charge forward, like, yes, go on, and then he loses the ball like he usually does a majority of the time. I mean, he's got to be one of our worst midfielders for actually losing the ball, isn't he?
Who's that?
Bergvall. Yeah. But he gives that little bit of flair of getting forward with the ball and people love it. But Dan, he doesn't produce nothing on the final bit, does he?
Dan, I think apart from the fans that are entitled, I think if you're sensible, I think we all realise we're miles off the top 4 teams at the moment. You know, and as I said, we've had 10 years of crap. You know, we've never replaced Dembele. No. You know, he used to come away with the ball, start, you know, and get attacks moving. You couldn't get the ball off him. He twists one way, twists the other way. We've never replaced Dembele.
But this is why, Ian, I keep saying to you, forget about the kids and go for the players we need now. What Sava has just showed there is the prime reason. Forget the kids even exist for the meantime. Go for what we need now.
Dan, I've never said fill the team up with kids. I've never ever said that. What I've said is, hang on, it's like, do you know what it's like? It's like spending money. You've got to save some money for tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. You know, you've got to have your first team. You've got to have your best first team you can get out. But you've also got to have some good kids coming through. Now, Vuskovic is tearing it up in Germany. Absolutely tearing it up. I think he got the Bundesliga Division 1 Young Player of the Month last month. He is absolutely brilliant. Apart from his first game where he got a lesson from Harry Kane, he's been absolutely superb. I think we've all seen the reports. Forget the overhead kicks in training. I think we've all seen the reports of how he's doing in that top division. Now,
you didn't want him to go on loan and play.
Who? Vuskovic? Because I think
you and others didn't want Vuskovic to go and have this loan and play.
I think he could do a job now within the
instead
squad.
of who?
Well, I think he's better than Dragusin, personally.
Yeah, but Dragusin's not playing right now. He's injured. So
Dragusin will be back in. And if Frank wants to switch to a back 3, he's got to have 5 or 6 centre backs.
Sure, but Lubo, you're doing it again straight away. Tell me how many 90 minutes of Vuskovic you've ever watched.
I've watched 1 or 2 games.
Right, and you've just turned around and said already he's better than Radu Dragusin, who is a Romanian international centre half. For me, Dragusin is okay. He's not. He's good in the air, but for me, you've seen Vuskovic twice. This is what I mean. You take a young player and you've put them.
But this year is taking him up a level, Sav. This year in Germany is taking him up a level.
That's why the others should be out on loan, like Gray.
But I think when he comes back next season, I think he'll go back into that. He'll go straight into the first team squad.
Absolutely not. That would be the biggest mistake we've ever made.
Why?
Look how quick you rate them. Like you have you watched?
Sav, I'm not a big fan of Dragusin. I'll be honest with you. I think Danso is much, much better than Dragusin.
We haven't played Dragusin the right way. He's an old school centre back, back, gets that ball.
Yeah.
He's like a John Terry, basically. He's a poor man's John Terry. He's your perfect man to have in the middle of 2 ball playing defenders. That's how he played in Italy, and he's solid in the air.
Let's hold Lubo to his own standard. When I got annoyed at things Van de Ven and Romero did last year, I got told you can't judge any of these defenders under Ange. Right?
Fair point.
So surely Radu Dragusin, right now in the system Frank plays, I don't think Radu Dragusin's a bad footballer. I think he's a good defender, but he's not Romero when he's like Danso. He will do all the dirty work. He'll put his head on everything. He loves the tackle, but he's not going to be the guy that brings the ball out and plays. But my point is this. He's
a no-nonsense centre-back.
But Dan, my point is this: look at the way Lubo has just rated Vuskovic, and has admitted he's seen him play twice. Like, this is what we do with all these young players. This is what we do with all these young players.
Can I add to that as well? I think the reason that all our young players have failed is because they haven't had a good loan, i.e., Harry Winks, Skip. For me, Skip was fantastic for Norwich. Fantastic. He needed one more. He needed one more season to then fill his boots in the Prem and go, right. You've now done it twice. It's I mean, easy one to pick out. Saliba. They sent him out on loan for 2 years. Right, okay. Make your name for it. He did. What we'll do is we'll bring Vuskovic back. He'll get 0 minutes because we've got Romero and Van der Ven, or he'll get 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And then what we'll say is, why hasn't he developed?
But do you know why they do that,
because he's playing for under 21s because there's no space in the first team. So why is he going to be playing for under 21s when he could be out in the Bundesliga? Or
do you know why they do that, James? They do that because what they do is when they go out on loan, they see little glimpses here and there, and they're like, "Oh, do you know what? He's ready. Let's bring him back." When really, there's nowhere near ready. Like, they've got to have a couple seasons showing you improvement every season that they are on loan. And if after 2 or 3 years, you can say like, right, they're actually good enough for the first team, then bring them in. But they halt their bloody progress because they think that little thing is gonna. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that thing. They basically think that it's going to make a difference. Like kind of the way Lubo is feeling about Vuskovic. It's like just because he's showing a little bit of promise right now doesn't mean he's going to be ready. Let him develop the way he is developing, because that's far greater for us in the long run than bringing him back when he's not ready and not playing.
What about Lubo? What do you think about that Yang that's out on loan? Is it Portsmouth?
He's just started the last 3 or 4 games. He's just started. I'm hearing having some good games. So
would you bring him back?
Very early, no, I wouldn't.
But why? You just said it's 2 or 3 games. He's had 2, 3, 4 very good games, and you wouldn't bring him back, but you'd bring Vuskovic back.
Vuskovic has been playing top level in Europe. This is his 3rd season.
Top level's a question mark.
Top level's a bit of a stretch.
Top level Croatia, top level Belgium.
Yeah, well, that's like Championship, to be fair.
Belgium is not top level. Belgium is not top level.
No, top level in Belgium, top level in Croatia.
Isn't Belgium, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Belgium the league where Troy Parrott is tearing it up?
No, it's Holland. That's Holland.
Oh, yes, exactly.
By the way, Lubo, I hope it. Listen, I hope Vuskovic comes back to Spurs and is the greatest centre half we've ever seen. Of course we do. I really, really do. I really hope he is. I just think at the moment don't forget there was a huge amount of the fan base that didn't want him to go on loan. Right. And I think Danny is absolutely right. These younger players, you've got to get them out on loan to see what they can do for 90 minutes every week. Because if Vuskovic was at Spurs right now, right, so far this season, let's be fair, Romero's missed 1 game. Van der Ven hasn't missed a game. So far this season, Vuskovic would have sat on a bench or not on the bench because you had Danso there as well.
It's that question, It's that question of how everyone's got their own opinion on this, yeah. But it's that question of how people would see a youth player progressing. Now, for me, sitting him on the bench basically, or sitting him in training, even if he's next to bloody Messi, okay, I get a couple of ideas, but I don't think it's going to improve him to going out to a team to playing 90 minutes week in, week out, or at least 80 minutes week in, week out. Yeah, but that's my personal opinion. I think you learn a lot more in person than you do for writing a book. I'll give you an example on it. Right. James, you're a plumber. Right. Someone comes out of college. They've got it on the paperwork. You obviously need the paperwork to do it, don't you? Otherwise, legally, you can't do it. Yeah. That 18-year-old who's just done his bit in plumbing turns up at your yard to fix a big problem there. Do you have the faith in him to do it because he's got the paperwork, or the 50-year-old bloke comes around who ain't gone to college for it, but he's been doing it for like 35 years?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The experience gets you far more, in my opinion, than 100%. Sitting next to someone with a bloody notepad and doing.
I also think failure as well. I also think failure goes quite a long way. So, like for me, I think Mikey Moore will probably learn a hell of a lot by being on the bench and being dropped by Rangers and realising, hold on, mate, you ain't as good as you think.
You can learn a lot from that.
You can't even get into Rangers, like reel it in a bit. And then I think that'll make him more hungry and he'll prove a point. And hopefully the same for Jamie Donnelly. Every man and his dog was praising Jamie Donnelly like he was the next Kevin De Bruyne. I said to Sean before the season started, we should have sold him for £10 million if we could. And he was like, "You're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about." Mate, the geezer obviously thinks he's a lot better than he is. And I think
don't get Lubo started on this one. Don't get Lubo started on Jamie Donnelly.
I think this rejection and being knocked, hopefully it makes him a better player. But I think that our fans put all of our players on such a high pedestal. The only way is down. The only way is down. There is no way up.
James, we've had so little success for so long. I think
but you can't rely on kids to do that.
No. I know, but I think everybody's just clutching at whatever is positive because we've been lacking for so long.
But there is no positive there, Lubo. That's what we're trying to say. There is no positive there. You're trying to make a positive out of something that's not even there.
It's like the same thing in life, right? It's like, how do you get better at something? By practicing, by keep going, keep doing it, keep going, right? And it's the same for football. Like a young player who's sitting on a bench, right, is not going to learn the same way if he's playing week in, week out, and then he goes. I don't know. Say for example, a player goes to the championship, tears it up. Okay, what's next for someone's development in that situation? You go to the next level up. You go to the Premier League. Can he do the same there? If he could, look what happened to Kyle Walker, for example. He went to Aston Villa for a Premier League season. He was very good, right, at Aston Villa, and he came back and he was ready to play for Spurs. And that's the difference. Like, you can't expect a young player. It's very, very rare that a young player will come in like from the academy and tear it up. Like
you occasionally get them. You get them occasionally, like Phil Foden.
Very rare, though. Very rare.
But look, people talk about toxic negative, but there is also bloody toxic positive. If there's a left, there's got to be a right, an up, a down, a love, a hate, whatever way you want to put it. And we are I say we. I'm not on this one. I don't think. Some people are, some people aren't. Are toxic positive with our bloody young players and put them on such a high thing and just try and praise and hope that they do something right and pray that they become good and try and make something good out of a crap situation, which I can understand, Ian, because it has been crap. But that's like your missus going out behind your back and someone sitting there saying, well, at least it weren't my brother. You know what I mean?
But you know, Dan, just to add to that, right? The thing is as well with the young players, right? Like them going on loan, right? They're gonna just get a lot more experience. And I forgot what I was gonna say now. I literally had it and I lost it. But it was basically on the lines of like, look at, like, I think Lubo, you said before, right, that some players. Oh, that's it. Right, you know, you said Phil Foden. Did you say? Was it Phil Foden? You said Phil Foden, right? The difference with Phil Foden is that he had world-class players around him, right? Yes. So when he came on, it's easier for him. There's less pressure on him to perform, right? Yes, he's maybe there's more pressure because he's playing for Man City, but it's easier for him if he's playing with a higher level of technical players, right? Because it's going to help his development. If you're bringing in, let's say Mikey Moore, and you're playing him with Odebear and Tell, is he really going to learn? If anything, it's probably going to be worse for him.
Danny,
do you know what I mean?
Danny, the other side to that for Foden is to break into that Man City team, you have to be there. Even as a youngster, you have to be there. The problem is, and Lubo and I have this chat all the time, we're praising these young players that have done absolutely nothing yet. And then, like Lubo, me and you keep having this debate about the whole Mark Robins thing at Stoke, right? Like, Mark Robins, he's a crap manager. What's he doing? He's ruining Donnelly. Mark Robins is doing what's best for Stoke City. Mark Robins has got Stoke City in the top 4 or 5, whatever they are right now. But you're angry at Mark Robins because he's not picking Donnelly. Have you ever thought that maybe Donnelly's just not ready for that level? Have you ever thought that maybe Mark Robins has looked at him and gone, yeah, you're not better than the senior pros I've got?
My point is that Robins bought senior pros and then brought Donnelly in after on loan. So my point is, why do that? You know what? Robins knows what the loan system is used for. So if you've already bought your players and you've got them in, and he's got 2 10s in now, why bring Donnelly in to play? I mean, Donnelly's played 9 minutes since the beginning of September.
Let me flip it then. What if, again, hypothetical, what if once he's got there and in training, Robins is looking and going, you're not as good as I thought? What if he's looking and going, all right, what I saw of you at Leyton Orient was good, but in training, you're not as good as the senior pros that I've got in the club at the moment?
Do you not think, though, Sav, as a manager who's actually said to his chairman, I want you to spend X amount on him and on him, that he has actually backed his judgment on certain on players to come in, and they are always going to get a chance before someone that's coming in from another club that's going to go back to that club in 12 months' time. So,
but Lou, that's how the loan system works. Some people go out on loan, and they are out on loan to play week in, week out, right? That some loan players, they go out, they're bit part players. You look at Lancashire. Lancashire's getting some games at Oxford, he starts, some games he's on the bench. But the way I look at it is, I'll be honest, when I watched Donnelly last year at Orient, I thought, yeah, you technically is good. But I said to you all the time, I don't think he's I don't think he's as good as you think he is.
The guy is stuck in the mud.
Right.
He's so slow.
Right. And for me, it's the speed of the game. So when I watched Stoke, I watched the Stoke game today, right? I actually watched Stoke City play Portsmouth today because I thought, oh, let's see Phillips and Yang and if Donnelly comes on. Phillips was good at the back. Yang did some, he wasn't as good as he was the other day. He did some nice bits, but was replaced by Josh Murphy, who was very good when he came on. But what I noticed with Stoke is they're physical, they're powerful. All the players in that team were powerful men, right? And when I look at Donnelly, I don't think he's powerful. I think he's tricky. Technically, he's good, but I don't know if that's, is he a League One player rather than a Championship player? But I do think you're right. If the loan isn't giving him minutes, then what I do think Tottenham should do is bring him back and send him out to somewhere where he's going to play.
Absolutely.
I do agree with that.
Absolutely. There's no point, because at the moment, he's not, his career is not progressing, is it, the way it should be? Wherever he finishes up, he finishes up.
Dan's got a jump.
Yeah, I've got to go. See you later, one. Cheers for having us on. Take care, everyone. See you later, people.
Cheers, Dan. So for me, it's whether Robins is right or wrong, whether his players are better or not better. If Donnelly's not getting minutes, as a Spurs fan, I'm not interested in Stoke City. I'm just interested in all of our players,
of course,
doing well.
Whereas Mark Robins cares about Stoke City. Mark Robins is paid to get points for Stoke, right? He's not being paid to develop Jamie Donnelly's career.
Okay, but if you look at any professional person, they will want to win every game. And if they're not winning games, if they're doing well, they'll want to do better, because that's the ambition in that person. So for me, I've looked at the stats of Stoke this season. They don't create many clear-cut chances. They don't have many shots on targets. They're not dominating games. So for me, if you're looking at that angle, you're thinking to yourself, right, how can I improve on that? Maybe I've got a creator here.
You're thinking that. From what I saw today, that's not how Stoke play. Stoke.
But couldn't we?
Two shots.
Couldn't we? But if everything was that black and white, why don't Jamie Donnelly come back and play for Spurs? If everything was that black and white, where he's creative in the final third, he's good on the ball. His stats say that. That's exactly what we need. So why not bring it back and play for Spurs? Because even though stats could say one thing,
James, because the guy who's in charge of that, and it's not Frank, Stuart Lewis, I was told, he has the final decision. He has deemed it that Donnelly is not ready, and needs to go out on loan for a year.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that because not for one moment. If your manager was there to say, no, listen, this guy's going to make it this season. He's staying with me. They're going to go, no, we're loaning him out. And he's going, no. Like, this guy is going to break into the squad and take the Prem by storm. He's going, no, we want to loan him out. I don't believe that.
James, apart from the Scarlets, they've all gone.
But if you look at it, Thomas Frank has sent him out on loan, right? Ange sent him out on loan, and Mark Robbins is not picking him. Are we saying all of these managers are wrong? There must be a reason why. For me, I would send. I honestly, I would pick up the phone to Leyton Orient, who are not having a great year, and I would say, do you want him for the second half of the season?
Absolutely.
That's what I would do, and let him play week in, week out. And the problem is, if that is his level, then you're going to sell him anyway, right? Does anyone here think Jamie Donnelly is going to be a Spurs player properly in the future? I mean, like week in, week out playing for Tottenham Hotspur.
How old is he?
He's 20. He's nearly 21. So he's not. Do you know what I mean? He's not 18.
It's hard to say because, unfortunately, at Stoke, he's got a lot of good players in front of him, and I think that was a bad move for him. Like, if you actually look at the Stoke squad, the players that play in his position, they're all better, right, than him.
Exactly.
They've got Nzonzi in their squad, haven't they? He's a World Cup winner. Like they've got some good players in their squad. So when you've got a young player like him, he needs to go to a team where he's going to be playing week in, week out. And I think that's unfortunate for him that he's there. So it's hard to tell whether he's going to fulfill his potential, right? Because we haven't seen enough of it yet playing at a decent level. So until he can play regularly, it's really hard to say, because even Harry, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Harry Kane, but even Harry Kane had a lot of failed loans and a lot of even by was it 21 when he started to break into the team, or was it 22?
I think it was 21.
Yeah,
21. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, he could be a player that breaks in at 22, for example. But we at this moment,
that is the anomaly in it. Like,
I know it's the anomaly, but I'm just saying.
Like
I know it's the anomaly, but we just don't know that he could have, like, I don't know. He could train himself in the gym, get stronger glutes, stronger upper body, and all of a sudden he's completely changed his game because he can compete with a lot more physical players and stuff. And he's I don't know.
Danny,
the thing about Donnelly is that he didn't play the first half of last season. Richie Weddings just before Christmas stuck it. I mean, Orient were 21st. They were fourth from bottom. We put him in the 10, and all of a sudden, whoosh! Orient went up, and they finished 6th, or 7th, I think, and they finished in the playoffs. And Donnelly had a lot to do with that. So he was a level above League One. Now, is he good enough for the Championship? That's the next level up. Can he go the next level up before we even think about taking him?
Exactly it.
So for me, if he's going to be good enough for Spurs, we've got to know that he can fix the divide between.
Yeah, but I think there's 3 or 4 levels there. I think we're kind of breaking it. I think is he good enough for the Championship? Is he a good player in the Championship? And then is he one of the best players in the Championship? And then the Championship to the Premier League is absolutely light years between each other. Absolutely light years. And then you've got to go up another few levels. For me, he's not going to make it. I said it a couple of years ago. For me, he's too slow. He not slow as in pace running, just slow in decision making and on the ball. For me, I feel he almost feels stuck in the mud. I think he's got the talent when the ball's at his foot. Like, he'll find that ball. He will. He's got a lovely strike on him. But for me, I just feel like the ones that make it in the Prem are the ones that I think Luka Modric said it ages ago. Like, you have to have mirrors. You have to know what's all around you. And I don't feel like he does. So for me, I don't feel like he's going to make it. I think he needs to be proving, especially at 2021. You need to be sort of tearing the Championship up at that age, because you've got 2 years and then you're 23.
Yeah.
I mean,
listen, it's he's got to be given that opportunity. At the moment,
but he has been given an opportunity and he's flopped it.
Well, he hasn't been given an opportunity, James. You can't turn around and say he's had about 29 minutes since he joined.
Yeah, but every day he goes into work, he has that opportunity to impress. Every day.
Do you know what? It's, Jose didn't think Salah, and I'm not saying Donnelly's on the same level.
Yeah, but again, you're kind of swerving my point to go and pick on an elite footballer.
Hang on, Lubo, you're picking a bad example if we're going to talk about Salah and De Bruyne at Chelsea.
The point I'm making is that if a manager doesn't fancy you, he doesn't give you a chance. And you can be up there or you can be down there.
Hang on.
The principle's the same.
Hang on. Can we bring this to context? You've got to remember that the team that Salah and De Bruyne couldn't get in at Chelsea was a team that was winning titles and Champions League.
I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the fact that a manager, if he doesn't fancy you and he fancies other players in front of you, you're not going to be given that opportunity.
Sure. Have you ever thought that
whoever it is, whatever level.
No, I get that, but I think James has hit the nail on the head. You have got a number of levels. First of all, get into a championship team. At the moment, can't do it. Second of all, be the best player in the championship. Be one of the best players. Stand out week in, week out. Third, are you good enough to step up to the Premier League? Fourth, are you good enough to step up to the Premier League to play for a Burnley in a relegation battle? Fourth, are you good enough to step up for a Tottenham and we want to get into the Champions Leagues? There's massive levels here.
Sure.
For me,
and there's also a lot of levels to drop. So, say for example, some of the players that were linked was in it, like Ibrahimovic didn't make it into Arsenal, but from Arsenal down, you've got then like a Villa, a Tottenham, an Everton, and then down. When you're not making it in the Championship, all right, you go down. You're now League One. And then if you can't make League One, you're done for. So it's all well and good not making it at the top because there's 10 steps down you can make. When you're already not making it in the Championship, you're like falling at the bottom of the ladder rather than at the top. So for me,
he's not played.
Yeah, but this whole notion though is so barbaric because he plays every single day, like 6 hours a day at training. What do you mean he's not played? He sees him week in, week out and goes, "You're not good enough." But yet we're going,
James, if you fancy two players that you bought and you're going to give them the opportunity first, for me, there's no.
No, I'm not. I'm picking what. That's like me saying I've got two players on the books. I've got two plumbers on the books and one subcontract, but I'm not going to give the subcontract out, even though he's 10 times better than the guys on the book. I want what's best for my business. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm paid to run my business as best as I can, to give the best service I can, and I will do that.
Manager, it's not Robin's money. He's asked somebody to spend big money, even if it's 10 million. It's big money for these clubs. He's asked the chairman to spend money on these players. And the chairman's going to say, hang on a sec, he's just asked me to spend big money on these players. And he's got a kid who's going back to Spurs and he's put them in first. There's politics involved as well.
No, there's not. No, let me debunk that because there's not. Because if you're winning and getting points, that's a myth. Because if you're winning and getting points with the players that are playing, the owners ain't going to care because they want to get promoted. If Jamie Donnelly was starting and getting assists week in, week out and goals week in, week out and tearing the training ground up week in, week out, the owners ain't going to go drop him for us and play one of the guys I bought.
You know, it doesn't always work that way.
Okay. So why? All right. I'll fire you back with facts because your old chairman used to love said to Tim Sherwood, "Why are you playing Harry Kane over? Was it Soldado?" Yeah, and then Tim Sherwood said, "Watch." Started, scored. Daniel Levy goes, "God, this guy's good. He's getting me up the table. More money, more points." Not 1 point does he go, "Nah, drop him. I want Soldado to play again."
How many managers do that?
Credit. But Lubo, like when obviously when we're in our WhatsApp group and the way you talk about Robbins, this is a guy who's been around the block. This is a seasoned football manager who knows his job. ex-pro. Don't we have to give a bit of credit that maybe, just maybe, he is looking at Donnelly and going, you're just not ready. Maybe that's the conversation Spurs and Stoke are having at the moment. Look, when it gets to January, you can have him back. The problem is we do this with Mikey Moore as well. Like, everything is, oh yeah, but he's playing for Russell Martin. He's a crap manager. Sure, but stand out. Sure, but if we're saying Rangers are crap, and they have been this year, Mikey Moore was getting plenty of game time under Martin. Stand out. Yeah,
Agreed.
all right, the shit, but stand out. And the problem is we fail to believe it could ever be that these players aren't good enough or good enough yet. We just automatically blame the teams they're on loan at. Like, you've got to look at Tyrese Hall. Tyrese Hall, he's gone out. I know he's younger than Donnelly, but Tyrese Hall's gone out on loan. He's playing every week, right? There will be senior pros at, whereas he's at Notts County, right? There will be senior pros at Notts County that have more experience than him. And he's starting week in, week out because he's performing, because he's clearly better than what they've got. Jamie Donnelly, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he is. But then the question's going to be for Tyrese Hall, isn't it? Is next year cool? Can you go to the next level up? Can you there's levels. And for me, I just think he should go back to Orient. For me, I would send him back to Orient and get him playing some football. But look, guys, I'm gonna do some super chats and then I'm gonna wrap up, because it is half past the hour of midnight, isn't it? Thank you very much to Alf, my member, who is a Man City fan. Are you still pep out, by the way? Are you still pep out? Just let me know. Says, Igor Thiago, a Bruges legend. Yeah, I tell you what, Club Bruges, if Tottenham had anything about them, I would be scouting Club Bruges year in, year out, because they produce players. Big up to you, Al. Thank you very much. Jordan, very, very generous. Jordan's come in and said, Man United looked at Garnacho, Rashford and Sancho, saw they wasn't performing for them and shipped them out. Spurs knew Odebertel, Richarlison and Stanky weren't prolific enough and all still at the club. And this is the point, Jordan. This is the point.
But just as one, Sama, can I just caveat that for 1 second? I think that's going to change, in my opinion.
I hope that changes, but this guy's spot on. Man United in the summer turned around and went, these guys aren't good enough, whether it was Xerxes, Hoyland, Garnacho, whatever they thought, they went out and went, all right, Mbuemo, Cunha and Sesko, right?
Yep.
That's how, if you want to be a proper club, go and do that. Stop buying kids, do that. Big up to you, Jordan. Really appreciate you, my man. Mitch Ware has come in and said, Frank Ball is inferior Conte Ball. When Frank buys better players, they won't be anywhere near Kane and Son. I'm not Frank out, but was never Frank in. Sure. Can we wait?
Yeah.
Can we at least wait and see, one, for him to have some games with his best 11, and two, for him to have more than one transfer window before we categorize what he is? But big up to you, Mitch. Thank you very much. Tottenham Trev's Football Talk said, evening, gents. Our first 11 isn't the greatest, let alone our bench. So why can't some fans understand it's going to take time? Any manager would struggle.
Yeah.
Tottenham Trev's Football Talk. Do you know what? This is what I keep saying to people, right? When I'm not being rude, removing your comment, by the way. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to talk about it. When everyone says they want Iriola, by the way, these are top managers I'm about to talk about. Iriola went into Bournemouth and didn't win in his first 9 games. Our fans would be calling for his head. Glasner last year didn't win the first 9 Premier League games. Our fans would have been calling for the manager's head, right? Thomas Frank has been nowhere near those levels, and still we have fans second guessing him. By the way, all these people that were screaming for Glasner, who I like as a manager, you would have seen no adapting, guys. Glasner never adapts. Glasner plays the wing backs come love nor money. All right. So you've got to be careful what you ask for. Big up to you. Code name has said, we don't have ball playing 8s. We have athletic 8s. Bang on. We've got a lot of runners. We've got a lot of runners, no ball players. Absolutely. Big up to you. Joshua, thank you very much. Said, I don't get why some fans aren't giving him time. I don't know, mate. I don't know. Look, a win tomorrow, you know, we're sitting very nicely. But big up to you, Josh. I agree. Code names come back in again. Said, hey, Sav, I love your channel. Thank you. Also, good attackers like Son scare defenders, force them back and make the team stronger, both in attack and defense. Well, listen, peak Son did. And unfortunately, we got who's scared of Odegaard? Who's scared of Tell? Who's scared of Richarlison? Who's scared of Johnson? People aren't scared of these players. Completely agree with you. Big up to D&B Forever with a super sticker. Thank you very much, buddy. Really appreciate you. Thank you very much. A user has come in and said, managers come and go, but their signings linger. Misfits today, Deadwood tomorrow. I love that. Our recruitment needs to be smart, cutting the rot before it spreads. Absolutely. We can't on one hand say that we've had loads of bad transfer windows and on the other hand then want to be playing superb football. it just doesn't work. Big up to you, a user. And last but not least, Jordan, very generous tonight. Thank you so much, Jordan. Said just because a good coach can improve certain players doesn't mean he can get an entire team to play Champions League football. Bang on. To play good football, you need an entire team of good technical players. We don't have half a team. Bang on. This is it. You want to play good football, buy technically good footballers. Anyone want to say anything before we round off?
It just keeps coming back. You look at there are various subjects we discussed in the last 2.5 hours, and a lot of them come back to the lack of top players that have been bought in the last 10 years. And we're suffering now. You can see, that last super chat from Jordan. And this is the reason. We just haven't bought enough good players. And you were showing the maps there, Sav. It says it all. But
the one. Go on, Luke.
There's nothing we can do now for the next two months, is there? We've got 9 more weeks of football, and we just got to muddle through and get through it as best we can.
I think that's exactly kind of what I was going to say. Is we just have to. I think Frank's just got to do what he can to not get knocked out of the competitions that we're in, right? And to try and get to January in all the competitions without getting too many big injuries. So it's a big job he's got until then, and and I think what I'm looking forward to is I'm hoping that this new, let's just call it new era under this board, that they're going to actually start to get rid of players, right, and not faff around for a few million here or there on the valuations and just get rid of them, which is what Daniel Levy refused to do for so many years. Like, for example, in the summer, even in January, if you can, get rid of Richarlison. He's got 1 year left on his contract at the end in the summertime. Get rid of him. If you can get rid of him now, get rid of him, right? And that's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to see the club do. And for me, that's what I'm going to be the most excited about, is getting rid of Deadwood when we all know, every single one of us knows, they should not be playing at this football club. And then we see what they do in terms of the players they bring in. So we have to wait and see. But I'm excited. I think you just got to be, people got to be patient as well.
I agree. But the thing that I would add to that is Deadwood. I think there's 4 or 5 players that I'd keep. The rest could go.
I agree.
I don't think it's Deadwood.
100%. I agree.
Again, with what Lubo said earlier, I agree with him. This club has been left to rot since Pochettino, to be fair.
Yes.
Yep. So, I mean, I thought Ange was backed, to be honest. I do think Ange was backed with what he wanted. So, barring Ange, I think the club was rotten, to be honest. And now we're in a position where we can't let 1 or 2 go. We need to let 5, 6, or 7 go.
Yeah. Who would you get rid of right now, like from your number 1 player, James? Like, or for your sort of first couple of players you'd get rid of instantly?
For me, it would be Richarlison, Tell, Gray.
Would you sell Tell or would you loan him out? Would you sell Tell or loan him out?
Well, you have to loan him now because of the investment.
Yeah.
But
I'd loan him and say, go and smash it up.
Yeah.
Go and show us. Go out on loan. Show us how good you are. Just quickly, guys, before we wrap up, just anyone want to have a guess who these 3 players are?
What, they Spurs players?
One of them is.
What, midfield? Are they
These are wingers. Two of them are Spurs.
I bet the red one is probably Odegaard.
Yep.
You said 2 are Spurs and one's
2
not.
are Spurs.
I reckon Kudus is the blue,
Yep.
and I reckon the yellow one is a non-Spurs player, right?
Yeah. Plays for
Saka?
Chelsea.
Like-
Oh, Chelsea.
Is that
Neto.
what's his name? Neto, yeah. Or
That's
Gittins.
Garnacho.
Oh, it's
by the way.
Garnacho. Okay.
That's Garnacho. See, by the way,
He's
and this is a player that I quite like Garnacho, but this is a player that categorically our fans didn't want in the summer, but they want to give Odegaard a chance. Look at the levels.
So
It's
those two were right. Pink is Odegaard.
Yeah,
other
yeah.
one's
Blue
Kudus.
is Kudus. Look at the
Yeah, that's
levels. of
disgusting.
Kudus.
He's fucking
yeah.
phenomenal, honestly.
Yeah. So, guys, I am going to end it there. I'm going to send you over to, not many people are live. I'm going to send you over to Lee Gunner. When you get over there, just type in Sava Raid. 2 V's in Sava. Danny, thank you very much. James, thank you. Lubo, thank you. Some good discussions tonight. Some nice discussions. No drama, no popcorn, no cooking, all this nonsense. Thanks, guys. And guys and girls, I haven't set the stream yet, but I will, of course, give you a watch along tomorrow. I haven't said it yet. I will sort that out. Take care. Much love. And don't forget to say Sava Raid when you get over to Lee Gunner. Take care. And as always, come on. You Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.